Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, your host, Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of APlus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter today. We got 6 incredible topics for you guys today. We're going to be breaking down. We got some Marvel Zombies talk because we got new details about that. Some more Marvel Studios details in an upcoming Vision Quest series. The showrunner certainly speaks out. We got James Gunn discussing the importance of Peacemaker Season 2, some Star Trek news for you guys in there somewhere, a ton more, some honorable mentions, your live viewer questions. Guys, we're going to get into all of it. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, here from good old Fort Worth, Texas. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, wherever you're watching this show from. Maybe it's the afternoon, maybe it's still the early morning. Welcome to an episode of APlus Hero Report. It's good to have everybody here. It is myself, your main host, Adam Perez, along with my co-host, as always, Stuart Branscombe. What's going on, Stu?
Hey, not much. Good to be here.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I'm loving the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt that you got going on today. Yeah, there might be a tidbit of some Turtles information into today's show that we might dive into when we get into some talking about Paramount. But we'll see, man. We'll see. How's your week been?
It's been not too bad at all. Been like I said last week, it's been definitely slowing down at the theater a lot. But we're doing this new series at the Draft House currently for preparation of the video game Ghost of Tsushima. Since we're now owned by Sony, we're doing a kind of samurai we're playing like samurai movies every like week. So nice. I think like usually like every other day we're playing a different one, but they're usually like kind of the classic ones. Like we yesterday we're playing 13 Assassins in one of our theaters, and yeah, it's been kind of fun not only seeing those movies but also like the person who edits our pre-shows is always pretty creative, so they put nice. Like trailers together from other movies where it's like now whenever I'm working these theaters I look at the pre-shows, the movies that they're playing from like these old school samurai movies, and I'm like, damn it, now I got more I gotta watch.
I love it. That's cool. I don't know why I didn't know that Sony owned Alamo Draft House, but that's
it's very recent. It was something kind of controversial, I think, or I mean, I would have thought it would have been more controversial because like for a while it's been illegal for movie studios to own movie theaters because they back during the golden age of Hollywood, I believe they were able to make kind of a monopoly on the whole thing because of it. So it became a law that they couldn't do that like going forward. And then I guess at some point that got overturned.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to do some more research in regards to that. But yeah, that would make sense why that was looked down upon. But because yeah, maybe Sony's like, you know what, we don't want to play anybody else's movies in this movie theater. That'd be terrible. But
yeah.
But thanks for that heads up. I've learned something new today. I'm gonna have to Google that a little bit more. But guys, thank you so much for certainly joining us. Look, wherever you're watching us from, whether that be on our YouTube page, Twitter, Twitch, hit that like button, man. Repost these videos. Let people know that we're currently live, especially if you're watching us over on YouTube. Please hit that like button. We got 7 people watching us live over there. If we can have all of you hit that like button real quick, it's absolutely free. It takes like 2 seconds. It would certainly help a ton. But look, guys, as we go through all of our topics here today, at the end of the day, these are simply our APlus opinions, but we always want to hear from you guys. So please let your thoughts be known in the live chat, in the comment section, so we can go ahead and pull some of your guys' comments up here while we're live. Have some great discussion and conversation with you guys today. I'm trying to go see Weapons soon. The grandma has my son today. So it's just me and my girlfriend, at least for the early part of the afternoon. There's a part of me that really wants to try and escape and run and see a movie. I don't know if that's going to happen today or not, but I have not seen a movie in like, it's got to have been like 2.5 weeks, Stuart. It's been a minute.
I was gonna say you were actually doing really good, like better than
Bro.
me in keeping up with like movies for a while. So yeah,
Bro,
but
I'm taking full advantage of my AMC A-list subscription. Look, AMC, if you want to sponsor me, I would love to be a sponsor for AMC. I've been using my AMC A-list subscription. I get the opportunity to see 4 movies a week. And when my girlfriend is feeling pretty lenient, when she allows me to, I try and see like two to 3 movies a week if at all possible. Plus, we at the end of every month, I've been doing report cards of the month, like top 5 movies of the month, and I give my breakdown for grading each of the top 5 movies that I've watched. So I try and clear at least 5 to 6 movies a month if possible. But I have a late start in August. I have not seen a single movie in August yet. They're just piling up. I want to see Naked Gun. I want to see Together. I want to see Weapons. There's a couple other ones that are dropping this week too, that I haven't had the opportunity to see. So I've got a lot of catching up to do, man.
definitely Weapon should be the top priority there.
Yeah.
That movie was absolutely incredible, as I kind of gushed about. I think I gushed about it last week, but yeah, definitely highly recommend it.
We rewatched Barbarian. Not that Weapons is like a sequel or anything, but I heard that it takes place within that same universe. So I just thought it'd be cool to revisit Barbarians a few weeks back. So we did that. That was great. And actually, I think that might have been like the second time that I watched it, and me and the girlfriend looked at each other when we were watching, and we're like, we don't remember any of this movie. Like, we don't remember any of this happening. So it was a really good rewatch. But yeah, Weapons is on my list of to watch movies here this month for sure. But yeah, I want to know what you guys have seen this month so far in August.
I think it was that Tess from Barbarian supposedly was the teacher that the new teacher in the movie Weapons is filling in for after she left after she left the school. Like, she was originally from that town. From what I hear, like fans saying that's what the connection. Yeah, from the fan theories, that's where the connection is between Barbarian and Weapons.
Interesting. All right. I'm gonna have to look that up. I have been trying to do a little bit more letterbox stuff since I do love movies as much as I do. So I do have a letterbox. I'm gonna have to maybe get like the social media aspect of it on our description box below for you guys one day if you want to check out our letterbox for APlus Hero Report. I'm trying to think what else I've been trying to get through Alien Earth this week, man. Have you watched it?
I have. Okay, so let me put it this way. If it wasn't Alien, I probably wouldn't continue watching at this point. Not that it's bad, but it's just it hasn't hooked me yet. But I see a lot of potential with it. I do find it weird that before the show began, they kind of made it clear that Alien Prometheus, or I don't know why I called it Alien Prometheus. Sorry, Prometheus and Alien Covenant were not going to be in continuity with the show. I find that weird only because like we're not even focused on Wayland specifically. Like, Wayland's there, but we're focused on a completely different company. Yeah, different corporation. So it was just kind of like you could have had it canon. You just didn't have to really address it too much. I don't know. It just feels kind of weird to shut that door completely when there was still like so much more potential, so much more they could have like explored in that realm. So
I mean, we are only 2 episodes in. So
yeah,
I mean, maybe,
I'm
maybe
going by what the showrunner said.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll also give it the benefit of the doubt of there might be like a reason, because there might be a specific story he wanted to tell that wouldn't have worked if Prometheus and Alien Covenant were canon. So maybe that's why. But if that's not the case, then the entire time I'm just going to be wondering, why did you retcon those then? What was the point? But as a show on its own, I think it's great. I think it's got potential. I think there's some really cool, interesting concepts that they bring us. What they do with those concepts, that's going to be what they do with those concepts. That's going to be what overall determines my opinion on the show. I think visually looks great, very well shot. I love the alien designs, all of them, not just the xenomorph, but we get other aliens in the show. They all look really cool. Again, I think visually. I love how much they recapture, especially you'll love the opening of this movie. It very much like looks like you're watching a deleted scene from Alien because of just the way it's shot, the uniforms everyone's wearing, and even like the subtlety in like kind of like the way they're talking with each other and their hairstyle. Just something about it just screams early sci-fi movie. It's so yeah, it's very intriguing. I see a lot of potential in it. I'm just not quite as hooked as I would like to be at this point.
Yeah, I have watched the first episode. I started watching some of the second episode yesterday. I didn't finish it. I passed out, but I'm gonna try and see if I can watch them back to back again here today if I can, and hopefully have a review up before the next episode drops. I believe on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So certainly look out for that. But if you guys have been checking out Alien Earth, let me know your guys' thoughts. I'm actually a really big fan of the lady that's playing the synth, I believe is what they're referring to them as, the synth body with the human mind.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying her as the main character in here.
What has she been in? Because you know what's so weird is she
I don't
looks
know if
like
this might be her first big thing. I think maybe.
yeah, because she looks like a pre-transitioned Elliot Page. Like funny
Something.
enough.
I thought I heard somewhere that she's the daughter to Kyle Chandler. That she's Kyle Chandler's daughter.
Kyle Chandler. That name's familiar. What's he been?
The Kyle Chandler. He's Lanterns guy.
Right. The guy playing Lantern. Oh, that okay. So they're related.
I believe so. Yeah, Sydney Chandler. That's her name, Sydney Chandler.
Oh, okay.
That's his daughter. That's crazy.
Okay, yeah, it is. But yeah, no, I think she's doing a great job so far.
Yeah, I thought so too. Let's see here. Let's give some people some shout outs before we get into our honorable mentions of the day. We got Enrique Perez here, says they saw the official trailer of the new Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy sequel special. It'll be arriving on Disney Plus in September. They're still making Lego Star Wars stuff? Dang.
Hell yeah.
It's been confirmed Shrek 5 has been delayed again from December 2026 to June 2027. Summer release to make room for Avengers Doomsday. Yeah, that's probably a good idea on Shrek's part. Also confirmed there's going to be a Walt Disney Studios showcase presentation on August 30th during Destination D23 at Walt Disney World, just days away. As in like a D20, there's a D23s, or I have to look that up, Stuart, if you can. Walt Disney Studios showcase for August 30th. See what that is. Also, James Gunn's Superman movie has just released on digital last week. Yeah, it released this week on digital. It's not free, though. You definitely do have to pay to watch it. But if anything, I think James Gunn said one of the reasons why they released it on digital so soon is they wanted it to be widely available for everybody before they checked out Peacemaker Season 2. So that's the only reason why it's being pulled from theaters right now. Enrique, finally, Star Wars Thunderbolts is Marvel Studios Thunderbolts is releasing on Disney Plus August 27th. Saw the official 30-second trailer. For some reason, I was under the impression Thunderbolts was already out on streaming, but no.
Definitely a movie I'm going to be rewatching.
Yeah, that's I'm probably I think the girlfriend's seen Captain America with me and Thunderbolts, but I have a feeling that's going to be a rewatch in the household for sure. New animated Smurfs movie on digital last week. I could care less for Smurf movies at this point. Y Arc 9, what's up, Y? Peacemaker Season 2 going to show Marvel how to tell a proper multiverse story. We'll see. We'll see. Ram Jam, what's up, Ram Jam? I was rewatching the original Captain Planet series. Very nice, Ram Jam. Let me know if you thought about like fan casting, who you would have as your Captain Planet now that you've had the opportunity to rewatch it a little bit. Blossom's in the house. What's up, Blossom? So good to see you. Ram Jam also says I'm on episode 26 of #1 Sentai Ghost User. Tell me how you feel about the series. Also, speaking of Ninja Turtles, Stu, I think they re-released the TMNT this week, didn't they? I thought I heard somewhere that there's a 30th anniversary re-release of TMNT.
It's this month. I can't remember if it was this week or if it's going to be in the next upcoming weeks.
Um,
but yeah, it is definitely this month. Let me
I'm gonna have to check some movie theaters and see if I can find it. It's been a minute since I've seen it on the big screen. Marcelino, what's up, Marcelino? Stranger Things actor Mason Dye, who played Jason, is now engaged. Who's that? Actor Mason Dye. Let me pull it up. Mason Dye.
Oh yeah, so it's the 16th through the 20th. So it is this weekend.
Oh, 16th through the 20th. So they are showing TMNT.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Mason Dye from Stranger Things. Who did he play in Stranger Things? Oh, he was in season 4 of Stranger Things.
Oh, he was the bully, I think.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Apparently he's going to be in the Boys spinoff series too, Vought Rising. Shout out to Kiki and Luca. What's up, Kiki and Luca? Saying hi, Adam. Hi, Stuart. Good to see you in here as always. First 2 episodes of Alien Earth, and to me, it's okay, a slow burn, but still on board. I'm also not a fan of Noah Hathaway's style. It's a preference thing. Also finished Akame ga Kill, and people's problem is that the anime deviated away from the manga. My problem is that the characters are 2-dimensional and story is very cookie cutter. I'm not familiar with that, but I appreciate your thoughts on Alien Earth. Kiki and Lucas says Weapons was good. Yeah, I can imagine. Kiki and Lucas says, I have A-List too. It's such a bargain. I agree. Look, AMC, if anybody watches the show, I would love to be a sponsor for AMC theaters, man. I think it's probably the best bargain deal that like any movie theater chain certainly has right now. I literally have no idea how AMC even makes money, to be frank with you, outside of like concessions. But outside of like having to offer people, I mean, maybe they assume most people won't take advantage of the 3 to 4 movies a week, and maybe they figure out maybe the most, like, I feel like the average person probably, even with this subscription, probably watches like 2 movies a month to kind of make their money back. But I think I pay like $26-$28 for it or something like that. But for 4 movies a week, hell yeah. I wish it existed when I was a poor student. It could have been awesome. Cheap entertainment. You know what was beneficial for us poor students at the time? Dollar theaters. Like some movie theaters, some movie chains we used to have that was just like all dollar, like all $1 tickets. Or maybe they were like $5 tickets. And then maybe like on a Tuesday, you can get in for like $1 or something like that. But that's what we used to survive off of.
Bring those back, please.
Did you have those in your area, Stuart? Dollar
No,
theaters?
I've never heard of this before.
Oh man, yeah, we used to have it wasn't quite run down, but it was like an older theater, but they would still play. I don't know if they played early release movies. You might have had to have like, I think it was like after they had their run in theaters, then they would come to this theater, and then you could watch them for like $1 or $5, depending on whatever the day was. But yeah, that was Texas at least.
Ah, dang.
Freakier Friday, Naked Gun were both also good. Get your reservations in for Demon Slayer for September 12th. I don't watch Demon Slayer.
I got my ticket for that. We're seeing it. I think like the 14th, or I can't remember if it's the 12th or 14th, but basically the Sunday of that week where my fiance and I are seeing it. Great,
nice.
Great anime if you're ever looking for something. If you're ever
People tell me
looking
that
for an anime to watch, animation is
me.
incredible, and they're ending it with like a trilogy. What a lot of fans are curious about is if the ending is going to be different from the manga, because apparently the illustrator for the manga, she had to like rush the ending because she had like some family emergencies going on, so she just couldn't flesh it out as much as she wanted to. So the question a lot of fans have is, ooh, does this mean that the anime might kind of change to go more in line with her original vision?
Oh, okay. Kiki and Luca also say I really liked Alien Earth. I've heard it gets even better. Well, I'm looking forward to finding out. I am fascinated by the concept of these synths really being like teenagers or like preteen kids, like the mindset of them. It's I don't know. It's an interesting twist in regards to like how I view synths now. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's if I don't know if all synths like that we see in future Alien movies are based off of that premise, or if they eventually like make a different, if they go like a different route, based off of like the idea of a teen or preteen's mind being in there. Like you clearly have the maturity level of like a teenager, but yet you but yet you are hyper smart in regards to having picked up training and knowledge and stuff. It's an interesting combination, if you ask me, Stuart.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like they're necessarily related to the synths specifically. I think they just they're their own like kind of branch of replicants basically.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I would be kind of curious if, because we do kind of see something similar to that in like Alien Resurrection. So I am kind of curious if they'll kind of like set, if that this is the pieces being set for that later on down the line.
Yeah, maybe. We also got Ram Chimp saying I still need to see Alien Earth. Yeah, check it out whenever you get a chance. Marceline says also K-pop Demon Hunters performed so well on Netflix that it's greenlit 2 sequels, a TV show, a live action stage show, and even a
Wow.
live action remake. Yeah, I've not checked it out. Look, I'm gonna
I
be
wanted
honest.
more, just not that much at once. Like, damn.
I'm gonna have to, maybe I'll check it out because this damn K-pop Demon Hunters is like everywhere. I'm not, look, I'm an old school millennial. K-pop to me is like, it's cool, but it's not my thing.
Mm.
Maybe if I listen to a little bit more, maybe it's something I would get into. But yeah, it's just yeah, I feel like K-pop is everywhere these days.
Here's
But I've
the
heard great things about it. It's number one on Netflix right now every time I open up my app.
Yeah. What's funny is that I'm like also not even like a K-pop fan, but I really like the movie
Yeah.
and the songs were like really catchy. So there's one song in it that's, you know, kind of the big song in the movie. It's kind of like their Let It Go. It's called Golden. And so many like cover artists that I follow on YouTube, just like, I don't know if it was because of the announcement of it being released in theaters or what it was, but they all started doing covers of the song like at the same time. So I just like have so that song's just been in my head for so long. Just that little brainworm song that like won't go away until you actually learn all the lyrics.
Nice. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out, man. Maybe I'll check it out. Noel, what's up, Noel? Good to see you in here. Yeah, Marcelina says there are so many shows and movies that many people mention that Adam has never watched. No, absolutely, it's true. I don't know how people watch it all, bro. I really have no idea how people watch it all. Maybe I'm just in that early stage of like parenthood while I'm still trying to like I'm still trying to balance it all, with my toddler and try and give him the attention and help raise my son. And like the idea of like I can't just sit around and watch TV like I used to, or like maybe I'm just bad at balancing it. Like I don't know how other parents do it. Maybe it's easier for them as their kids get older and they don't have to watch them as much or look after them so much. You know what I mean? That it becomes easier. But yeah, for right now, it's a handful because by the time he goes down to bed, it's like 10 o'clock, like when he's like out.
Mhm.
And then like, I got the rest. I got 3 good hours in me before I'm out for the count, and I still got to eat dinner. I got to clean up the house a little bit. Maybe I want to read a comic book. It's hard to balance time these days, Stuart. That's all I'm saying.
Just gotta make Noah grow up faster. Be like, Noah, get older now so I can have more time to my kidding.
Here, son, come cuddle with me while we watch this TVMA Alien Earth show together. Yeah, I can't do it, bro. um Noel says D23 showcase announced Marvel, announced Slate or movies or shows. He says I think Blade will be announced at the showcase. I don't know, but I don't think Blade's ever getting announced again. But
No,
we
it's
do
not
like highlighting D23s. I just didn't know if they were having a show this year or not.
Yeah, it'll be August 30th. I got the lineup listed all here.
You're missing out on a lot of great things. K-pop Demon Hunters and Demon Slayer. Yeah, a lot of demon stuff. I'm missing out on a lot of demon stuff. I want to get a Crunchyroll account. I have a Crunchyroll account, but I don't have a paid for account. Um, if I had a paid for account, I might try attempt to watch a little bit more anime, but we'll see.
I finally, because basically I got my fiance to watch Andor. So we're doing a
Nice.
thing where I get her to watch Andor, and she's finally getting me to watch Attack on Titan all the way through. Because I
Nice.
had only seen the first season, which was great. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you what it was, but something about season 2 just made me fall off. But getting back into Attack on Titan, I'm just like, why the hell did I ever leave the show? But yeah, that's another one. If you get your Crunchyroll back, Attack on Titan's great.
Yeah, I was like you. I saw the first season, and then I fell off after the second one. I didn't catch up after that. It's just the same thing with me, like My Hero Academia. I think I watched like the first 2 seasons, and then I fell off, and something else grabbed my attention. Like I just can't finish things. It's just like I start and I just don't finish it, man. I mean, just non-committal in that way. It's atrocious. It's terrible.
I feel like I'm like that with anything but TV shows.
Did did so you did find the D23 stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
What was the dates this year?
So August 30th. I don't see the next day. Oh wait, and the 31st. So yeah, 30th and 31st. Although
like a schedule.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if anything sticks out.
Any Lucasfilm or Marvel Studios film presentation. While you look that up, I will get us ready for our first segment of the day.
Yeah, no, I don't see anything Lucasfilm or Star Wars related for Saturday. For Sunday, yeah, no, just yeah, more. It's more going over Disney classics. Like there's a thing for the Goofy movie after, because I guess it's a 30-year anniversary, and then same with where was it? I just lost it. Oh yeah, Emperor's New Groove, which is hitting its 25th anniversary.
Interesting. Okay. Kiki says, Kiki and Lucas says, Andor, I wish I could buy a digital copy on the Apple Store, but Disney won't sell it. Why is that, do you think?
They want to own it. They I don't know. I hate the way Disney does this kind of stuff because I don't know. Like they're very how do I put it? They're very like hands-on with their own stuff in the sense of like the way they release it to the public, because even before Disney Plus they still had that pattern of only releasing movies like every 10 years. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they want to control the media.
Maybe yeah, I don't know. This is another important reason why physical media is definitely a thing. Why, despite physical media kind of going away, I think it's important that if there is content out there that you want for yourself, to definitely try and get it, because some of these companies are not going to release their stuff digitally or have the ability to remove it whenever they want to and not have it made available, sort of thing. And I think with powerful IP like Andor, I think the idea of having a physical copy is really important, to be honest with you. So yeah, I don't know why they haven't released it yet digitally or anything like that, but it should be a priority for Disney, if you ask me.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any honorable mentions, Stuart?
No, not really. I guess my honorable mention was going to be talking about Alien Earth, but we've already kind of talked about it. So yeah, show with potential.
So for those of you who don't know, when it comes to honorable mentions, these are storylines that didn't quite make our top 6 to talk about, but felt that you guys certainly still deserved to know about them. So let's see if I can pull some information up here for you guys today. First and foremost, I know we just talked about this last week a little bit, Stuart, but My Adventures with Green Lantern is back in the news as we're getting further details about this upcoming animated series. Now, again, for those of you who are unaware, this is in fact sort of a an animated series, but it is very much skewed towards the kid side of things. This is not part of the DC universe. It is sort of like an Elseworlds, if you will, as it is in fact connected to the other animated series, My Adventures with Superman, that Stuart tends to review for the channel from time to time. So it is sort of a spin-off out of that particular world. But one of the bits of information that's releasing, Stuart, we talked about last week, casting had begun for some of the characters in regards to Jessica Cruz, voice actor, and then two other characters named Kyle and Nikki. And one of the things that when we talked about the Kyle and Nikki aspect of things, Stuart, if you recall, one of the things I mentioned was, I wonder if that Kyle is Kyle Rayner. Well, according to Nexus Point News this week, sources tell Nexus Point News that Kyle and Nikki are confirmed to be Kyle Rayner and Nikki Jones, respectively. Other characters confirmed to appear are Alex DeWitt and Kilowog. Details and the direction of Kyle's character are currently under wraps, but he will serve as a love interest to Jessica. The series is will be set in Coast City, and the students will be attending Hal Jordan High School. The status of Hal Jordan in this universe is currently unknown. So yeah. It does say Nikki is described as an overly confident goth high schooler who doesn't care for the approval of others. Nikki is Jessica's lifelong best friend and protective of her, sometimes overly protective. Nikki is likely an adaptation of Nikki Jones from the comics, who becomes the new Jade as part of Lex Luthor's Infinity Inc. Nikki Jones first appeared in New 52, I think. Back in 2007. I don't know if that was New 52 or not, but in 2007, created by Jeff Johns. Interesting.
Huh.
Also, Alex DeWitt is described as the popular girl of the school. She's a softball star and daughter of politicians. She was actually in the comics. She was Kyle Rayner's first love interest and the victim of the infamous fridging issue. She was murdered by Major Force. So hopefully no fridging in the animated series.
I would assume not in the animated series for kids.
Yeah. And then of course you've got Kilowog, who we all know as the Green Lantern. But yeah, the release date has not been announced. But yeah, further details as to who some of these characters are. I'm actually kind of fascinated, Stuart. I haven't watched the My Adventures of Superman, but I think maybe I've watched maybe like an episode or two, honestly, to be fair, for my son. But this sounds promising.
Yeah, I agree. I coming from someone who actually I personally, like, as you know, really enjoyed My Adventures with Superman, and then just kind of like, I feel like they got some potential with this for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for sure too. We also this week have some news in regards to some first look images at the upcoming Boys spinoff series Vought Rising. Showrunner Eric Kripke released these first look images for the main superheroes that are going to be involved in Vought Rising. We've got Soldier Boy here. We also got some other characters. Private Angel is her name. We also got Torpedo. And I believe this guy is Bombsmith, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Bombsmith. But yeah, this is the first look. I'm not sure exactly when this series is going to be dropping, but I got to tell you, Stuart, I'm loving these costume designs, man. Whoever came up with these costume designs is really doing their thing, capturing sort of like the time period, especially. This Torpedo just looks clean to me, dog. Like I love this suit. What do you take away from these, though? How do you like these?
Same exact thing as you. I love how it kind of puts in a specific time frame, because this is supposed to be like World War II, right?
I believe so.
Like,
or
yeah,
not Vietnam. No, I think it's World War II.
But yeah, I love how kind of, they look classic. It's honestly like, if I didn't know anything about the Boys universe, it's kind of like something I would look at and go, oh, these are the heroes we're following, right? but yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. I hope the boys universe doesn't like stretch itself too thin, just because like now they've been doing quite a bit in terms of like all their spin-offs, like because you got the regular show and then you got their animated shorts along with the college spin-off show,
Gen V.
NV. Yeah. So, just hopefully it doesn't eventually become like overdone. They don't milk it so hard that it like becomes super dry by the time we get to the show.
No, I feel you there. We also got Scary Movie in the news. Regina Hall and Aaron Ferris are back. They're going to be joining the Wayans brothers. This is an exclusive from Deadline. Core Scary Movie actresses Regina Hall and Anna Faris are coming back as Brenda and Cindy for the Wayans brothers restart of the early millennial comedy franchise. They say, we can't wait to bring Brenda and Cindy back to life and be reunited with our great friends Keenan, Sean, and Marlon, three men we'd literally die for. In Brenda's case, again. So yeah, this is set to be a really big reunion, bringing the Wayans brothers back together for the first time in 18 years to write an all-new original script for the series. That's actually sounds kind of promising, Stuart. And in a world where spoof comedies potentially could be making a comeback, the Naked Gun, surprisingly, I think one of the big questions we had was, can something like the Naked Guns survive in like today's society, just from like a script and comedy point of view, can spoofs comedies really work? I think Naked Gun is proving that it can. And now we got something like Scary Movie coming back, and also Spaceballs, to see if they can capture that lightning in a bottle and reinvent these again. But what do you think about the Scary Movie stuff?
Yeah, because I really like the first Scary Movie as a kid, like freaking watch that to hell all the time. And actually, so the funny thing about it is that I watched it before I watched I Know What You Did Last Summer. And so because of that, when I finally did watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, like a couple of years ago, it was so hard for me to take it seriously because every scene that they parodied from Scary Movie, I knew of from Scary Movie. So just in my mind, it was like whenever they would do like a dramatic scene that was parodied in it, it was just like, it's so hard for me not to laugh. But that all being said, I honestly don't think I've seen anything past Scary Movie 3. I don't think I ever saw 4 or 5. But I'll probably change that before I go into this next one, because I definitely do want to check it out. Because yeah, like you said, we haven't had like parody movies like we used to in a while, but they now feel like they're gonna start making a comeback because of the Naked Gun, Spaceballs, and now this. And then, if I remember correctly, didn't we cover an article a while ago where like the Wayans brothers were, I know it's not a parody movie per se, but like the Wayans brothers were also going to be doing another sequel to, or they were doing a sequel to White Chicks?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So it's interesting seeing them make a big comeback. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, me too. Marceline says Private Angel looks like she's played by April Bowlby or Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, actually, it does kind of look a little bit like April Bowlby to me, almost. I used to have a big crush on her from Doom Patrol. She played, what was it, Elasta Woman? Damn, I can't remember what her name was in
yeah,
Doom
that was
Patrol.
her name.
Elasta Woman. Yeah, it does look like her a little bit. What else we got here? Oh, and then last but not least, Solo is in the news this week, Stuart, because Ron Howard, believe it or not, is speaking out about the movie. Variety.com had a article. Ron Howard says Solo creative clash is still just a shame, as Ron Howard pulls back the curtain in regards to what happened with that film. If you guys recall, Ron Howard was not the first choice for Solo. It was supposed to go to Lord and Miller, who's currently doing that film coming out later this year or next year. I think it's Project Hail Mary. Lord and Miller have also done the Lego movie. They've also been in charge of the Spider-Verse animated and television side of things. Very capable creators and writers and directors, but clearly it did not work really well when it comes to Solo. But this is what the article said. Ron Howard opened up to Vulture in more detail than ever before about taking over the helm of the Star Wars prequel movie Solo. since it was originally set up by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and was let go from Lucasfilm due to creative differences. Howard said it all came down to the movie's tone. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy asked him to a lunch meeting where they were joined by Solo co-writer Jonathan Kasdan. They basically said, "We've reached a creative impasse with Lord and Miller. Would you ever consider coming in?" Ron remembered. He says, "I looked at some edited footage and I saw what was bothering them. There was a studio that liked the script the way it was and wanted a Star Wars movie, but there was a disconnect early on tonally, and they weren't convinced that Phil and Chris were doing was working effectively. I couldn't judge that because I didn't see enough of it to know, but they were sure. Once I said, okay, I think I can do this script, I think I understand what you want of this script, we'd want to reshoot a lot. I looked at the whole movie and then pointed out some things that I thought were great, and Phil and Chris were incredibly gracious throughout that process. They were just seeing two different movies. So I came in, I had a blast, but there's nothing personal about that film whatsoever. It's still just a shame. I can't wait for Phil and Chris's next movie." Yeah, I think there might be a little bit. I think it might be a little bit more to it, but oh, he says during an appearance back in 2019, Howard called the response to the film disappointing. He says, "It made a lot of money. It just didn't live up to expectations. I came in eager to help, felt like I could, and had a blast. Normally, it takes 3 years. I worked 8 months and had an experience. I felt very good about the way that it turned out. I love the way that it played to audiences, which I witnessed. All of that I am able to feel good about." He says he thinks it bombed at the box office due to it being maybe too nostalgic, is what he said. You know, Stuart, this I will say this doesn't come too much as a surprise because I feel like we kind of heard a little bit about this in regards to like why they certainly left, why Lord and Miller and Lucasfilm kind of parted ways. It just seems like Ron Howard here kind of reconfirms that just a little bit, but I didn't know that he actually worked alongside them in regards to like figuring out what they wanted to keep and what they didn't before they kind of departed.
Yeah, I would be curious what that specific thing was that the studio wanted that Miller and Lord wanted to do differently. Like, was it that they made it too funny? Because like, if that's the case, it's like, how much more funny could it have been? Because I mean, I didn't really think Solo was trying to be like that dramatic. It also kind of felt like it was meant to be more of a like kind of comedy sci-fi than anything else. So yeah, I don't know. To me, the whole thing is I mean, obviously they didn't have quite the resume that they do now when they were working on Solo, but looking at what they've done now, I think it's got to be one of those things that Disney has to be looking back at and going, why did we fire them?
I mean, I don't know. I think in hindsight, it's easy to see like, oh man, especially with something like Project Hail Mary, like, wow, they, you know, I don't necessarily know if I ever doubted that they're capable of doing a movie. I don't think Lucasfilm doubts that they're capable of doing movies either. I just think it's the idea that when Lucasfilm had an idea of what they wanted, script wise was great, but when it comes to the execution and the tone, it's just two completely different things. I mean, maybe you're suggesting like Lucasfilm should have just trusted them a little bit more, trust the process, and let them create the movie that they wanted to create. So maybe it is something along those lines, but you know, I don't blame them for thinking we're not getting the movie that we originally wanted them to get. But again, I wish I had the opportunity to see some of those scenes. Like I wish some of that stuff had gotten leaked to kind of see like what type of movie they truly were going to give us and if Lucasfilm kind of overreacted or not. But I do, you know, look, to be fair to Ron Howard, I do think Ron Howard saved that movie. I think the fact that he points out, look, making movies can take 2 to 3 years. I had the opportunity to do this in 18 months. You know, I don't know what the movie looked like before, but I think Solo, I think Ron Howard was successful in doing what he could with Solo. It didn't make as much money at the box office, but it was still making more money than most movies. I think it broke like 400 something million dollars at the box office, sort of thing. Nowadays, we'd look at that like, damn, that's a great haul for a movie these days. But I think he did the best that he could with it. How do you like Solo as a film overall?
Oh, I thought it was fun. Not my favorite Star Wars movie, but I definitely enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I agree. Kiki and Lucas says Solo's failure was a huge blow to the Star Wars. I mean, I agree. It definitely hurt it for sure. But all right, guys, that will do it for all of our honorable mentions today. And Stuart, you ready to get into these main topics with me, buddy?
Always.
Let's knock this out, shall we? 6 incredible topics for you guys today. We got some Marvel zombies in the news as we start flipping the page on the chapters for Marvel Studios. We also got some Vision Quest information going this week. We got Rambo in the news. I think we got some Star Trek news for you guys, some big Paramount Pictures news also. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, Marvel zombies. That's right. Stuart, we're getting close towards the end of this year, and it feels very much like Marvel Studios is trying to release all of their content that they can before the end of the year to really make 2026 sort of like that fresh slate in regards to Spider-Man Brand New Day, along with I think we're supposed to get season 2 of Daredevil Born Again next year, and then of course Avengers Doomsday. But by the end of this year, we will officially have had Wonder Man drop, which I believe Wonder Man comes out later on this year too, and also Marvel Zombies, the limited series, animated series that's really a spin-off of the What If season 1 episode. I believe it might have been episode 5 of Marvel Studios What If, in regards to them exploring the concept of Marvel zombies. It was a great first episode that had a lot of people buzzing, so much so that they decided to go ahead and actually do an entire limited series for it. I think it's only going to be 4 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, but it is time to visit Marvel Zombies. Stuart, I'm really excited for this one. I am looking forward to it. If there's anything that I think I'm not excited for when it comes to Marvel Zombie, it might be the animation style. And I only say that because while I was a fan of it, I didn't mind it so much like other people did when it comes to Marvel Studios What If. There are aspects of Marvel animation I'm like, I kind of want to see other types of animation, and we've gotten that so far. My Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is different from Eyes of Wakanda, is different from I'm trying to think of another animated series that just dropped also from I feel like we've seen there's another style out there that I can't think of off the top of my head. But so but when it comes to, I guess maybe Marvel Zombies stays with the same type of element of animation just because it comes from the What If series itself. But this week the showrunner had the opportunity to talk a little bit more about this series in regards to not only its characters, but also balancing the gore and the violence with, I believe, the TVMA rating that it certainly has. So let's go ahead and dive into this one, Stuart. This comes to us from Collider. There we go. Making sure that this worked for us. Let me go ahead and pull this banner up too. All right. So let's go through this. Marvel Zombie showrunner on balancing gore and character-driven storyline and a TVMA series. This is, in fact, a exclusive article from them. Here we go. The episode of What If introduced the zombies and the story following the survivors of the outbreak, including Bruce Banner, Spider-Man, Okoye, the Wasp, Bucky Barnes, and more as they venture out in search for a cure. By the end, though, things look quite bleak. While Bruce sacrificed himself to ensure Peter Parker, T'Challa, and the cured head of Scott Lang could escape with the Mind Stone, their hope of saving everyone from the haven of Wakanda appears all but dashed when the final scene shows a zombified Thanos already there with a nearly complete Infinity Gauntlet. That's really where sort of it picks up at. It says Marvel Zombies connects directly to that ending with many more survivors introduced, including Shang-Chi, um, Katie, who was voiced by Aquafina, the Red Guardian, Yelena Belova, Kate Bishop, Ironheart, Miss Marvel, and a new animated version of Blade / Moon Knight. It
All
says
conveniently being introduced after their Marvel movie debuts.
absolutely. Serving as showrunner and director this time around, they reveal how the MCU boss knew the concept was gold from the beginning and how quickly the ball got rolling after the What If episode's success. He says, I think Kevin always knew because it was Kevin that really pushed for doing something with zombies, just regardless. And it turned out well. I think once the response came in, when people saw the episode, I think that helped seal the deal. And I forgot exactly when, but relatively soon after that, it was, well, we got to do another one. And then it was the question of, I think Brad Winderbaum also mentioned it, but it shouldn't just be an episode. It should be like its own thing, and hence the beginning of us figuring out what on earth to do. It says, unlike What If, this won't be an anthology jumping through the stories of various bands of survivors in this world. Marvel Zombies will tell a connected story of superheroes fighting against the toughest odds they've ever encountered. Originally, the thought wasn't even a miniseries, but one longer zombie movie. That cinematic feel remains throughout the 4 episodes as it devolves into what the showrunners described as insanity. It says, "Oh no, it's like a through line. It's like originally we were thinking it'd be a movie. If like, oh, we should release it as a movie. We should just do a movie. But there were some things that came up, certain issues that we just kind of, oh, let's break it up. We'll have to break it up into 4 episodes. So basically, it's a 4-episode mini event, like a film broken up into 4 parts, basically. So yeah, it's one story. It's one through line. A lot of insanity happens. It says front to back. What If Zombies was packed with action and horror alike involving MCU heroes. They assure that the same mentality was brought to the miniseries with no episodes feeling like a down moment in the zombie carnage. Yes, there's something rad like every single part, like tremendously so. He continued, footage shown either publicly or at events so far has already teased tragic sacrifices, the power of the 10 rings, and some killer action from Yelena. When questioned about any moments he's excited for viewers to see, however, he teased, there's one thing I'm particularly of interest to see what happens, how people respond to that, how something that goes down in the 2nd episode. So I can't say anything other than that, but every episode of every installment has something to go like, wow, what the F? I can't believe that, So that's good, is what he says. And then 2 more small pieces here, and I'll leave it at this. It says there's a tiny bit of language, a little bit, I think, but because Marvel at times, even with R, they didn't do this with Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously, but back in the day, this was, when we were making it. It was before. I mean, that wasn't even out yet, and so yeah, they were like, yeah, we don't have to have people saying certain things, so we didn't try not to be gratuitous about it. But there's like a couple of key parts where somebody does say something because it just fits. Like that's what I would say in that moment. So I think the ratings come from the level of violence and of intensity of the moments that characters find themselves in. And yeah, blood gets spilled, and we want people to be able to see that. It's character driven, emotion, people dealing with stuff, all that good stuff. It's just that when something happens, it's like, oh yeah, I just got ripped apart. Oh damn. But we move on because it's not about like, and look at all these things that we're doing. Wow. I think a lot of stuff that goes from MA rating, sometimes they're doing it to do it as opposed to using that rating to allow them to be unfettered in way they tell their story, as opposed to just being gratuitous about one aspect. So yeah, so we got a little bit more details in regards to Marvel Zombies here, set to go ahead and drop later on this year. Actually, wait, what was the release date? I thought I just saw it here. It will be unleashed on September 24th, with all episodes available to binge immediately. So yeah, September 24th. It does say there should be some key surprises in here. So I'm looking forward to this one, Stuart. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think everything that they're talked about, the fact that they're not treating this as like a fun, like I'm sure it'll have fun in it. Don't get me wrong, but they're not treating it as let's do zombie movies, but for the young audience. It actually seems like they're treating it like a legit zombie series, which is pretty cool. um Yeah, I like that they're taking the mature approach to it, and I like how they even kind of acknowledge that oftentimes when you get the TVMA rating, it's because you got shows trying too hard to be gritty and over the top violence, but it seems like here they're just going for the idea of this is a dark situation, and if people like say swear words or if there's blood, it's because there would be blood in a situation like that. So yeah, I think it definitely I wouldn't say I'm super excited, but I did like the zombie episode of What If. So I definitely will be checking this series out. Hopefully it's as awesome as the writers seem to be thinking it is. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I hope so too. I never got the opportunity to read the Marvel Zombies story in Marvel Comics, so I am kind of curious if there's any hints to like a pure adaptation from the comics into the animated world here, or if this is going to be sort of their own story. I do find it fascinating that this started off as a movie. I would assume, if anything, they had plans on it being an animated movie the entire time until they
Mhm.
decided to go ahead and make it into sort of this mini event, which I'm a really big fan of. I kind of like the idea of going that route, even though this could have easily have been, I think, maybe like a Marvel special presentation if they wanted to do sort of that animated film, if they wanted to go that direction. But clearly they decided to do the 4 episode aspect of things, and I think it might work. When I watched that first episode for What If, I really was surprised in regards to the level of intensity, some of the blood and gore that they kind of showcased from it. And it really kept me sort of on the edge of my seat. There was really like no lulls in that episode, and any lulls that they had are fresh off of trying to survive something, or doing some really great sort of character work and in-depth work for their characters before pushing the story forward. So this is especially based off of the cliffhanger that I believe it was episode 5. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I have seen this episode several times now, and it continues to get me every time. So I think this is going to be a really fun one, to be quite frank with you. But I do love hearing the idea of their decision to go ahead and switch this out from a movie to animated. Also, the idea of, like you mentioned, Stuart, just balancing the gore, making sure that even like the curse words that they use, that they're not doing it just to do it, that everything really comes based off of the story aspects of things first, before anything else. So the lineup, I think, of characters is an interesting one too. I think I have an image of this, of some of these characters when they originally released in like early first looks. So I am curious, like, even though we see these characters here, I do wonder where people like T'Challa and the Spider-Man head, or Peter Parker or Scott Lang head is at, or where Peter Parker is in this particular in this event, or if time has passed since that episode, or if this picks up immediately right after that episode, because the cliffhanger was crazy, and I don't know how they get themselves out of that situation, but I would love to see how they handled it and where they even sort of go from here. So I think when we're in a time period where we're getting ready to wrap up 2025, we know that we got Wonder Man coming towards the end of the year. This is probably the last bit of like a Marvel content I am sort of anticipating. I almost forgot that this was even dropping this year. But the fact that it's coming out now, I still got to finish Eyes of Wakanda. I think I've watched the first 3 episodes. I got to finish it. But if anything, I am looking very much forward to Marvel Zombies here. It's probably like the last Marvel thing I'm looking forward to before we really get into Spider-Man Brand New Day next year.
Yeah. Yeah, gonna be honest, I totally forgot this show was even happening still. Like I kind of because there hadn't been that many updates on it, I kind of just assumed this had hit the back burner and we weren't gonna see it for a while. One thing I do remember from that concept art is they also, if I'm not mistaken, had a photo of Icarus as a zombie too. The one
Yes.
from Eternals who's basically Superman. So how they're gonna get past a character like that's something I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I completely forgot about the whole Icarus thing. But I am fascinated in regards to how this story is going to unfold. I think a lot of us have kind of questioned maybe some of the release schedule for some of these Marvel projects over the past year or so, in regards to them either dropping them all at once, dropping them in batches of 3, weekly episodes, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes we probably thought to ourselves, oh, maybe they're just trying to hide this project and they just want to drop them all and just move on to the next one, sort of thing. I feel like Marvel Zombies, I feel like even Wonder Man is getting into that category of projects that Marvel Studios was doing before they kind of had this initiative shift, if you will. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that those, because of the storyline shift and the now paying attention to details, I'm not saying that Wonder Man or Marvel Zombies is going to be bad or not, but it just feels like, because it is that last batch of content before that stuff really started changing, it kind of feels like, for me at least, like I'm kind of ready to get these done and out of the way. Because there's a part of me that doesn't want to get too emotionally attached to any of this stuff, because I don't feel like they have any plans for anything future wise. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect them to be a Wonder Man season 2. I don't expect there to be another Marvel Zombies sort of things. I just look at these as like one-off things to hold me off until we get back to the bigger connective tissues of Marvel Studios.
For sure. And speaking of not getting attached to things, it's a zombie show, so do not get attached to any of the characters.
Yeah, especially talking about how intense that they are plan on making this thing, in the sense of you're going to be like, oh, what the F? And these really big surprising moments and sacrifices that are certainly going to happen here. So yeah, I don't plan on getting attached to any of these characters, but I am always open for a good surprise and a good twist and a good death scene, and some intensity, because even that Marvel what if zombies episode definitely had levels of intensity that they were able to do really well, I thought, with the style of animation that they had. The animation works for zombies. I think for me, I like to see when Marvel changes it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to Marvel Zombies. Let me know what you guys think about it. Many people want Katie to die because they hate Aquafina that much. Um, I see so many people campaign for more R-rated and TVA stuff, thinking it would make the story, when it doesn't. Just focus on making a good script and then choose which helps the story. Yeah, I agree. But it feels like that's their mentality in here too, that they're not just making an R-rated TVMA movie or animated series for the hell of it. They're really depending on where the story takes them in that regards, not really trying to force anything.
Yeah, which I think that's the better approach to go for it. Like, come up with
Yeah,
the story first, and if you think you can tell it like for a wide audience, make it PG-13. But if you think it needs to be like R TVMA, then don't hold back.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Marceline says the main difference with the Marvel Zombies comic and animation is that the comic has the zombies still have the consciousness of the original host, making it more personal. Oh, damn.
Ooh,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like Return of the Living Dead zombies. Those are a nightmare because the whole thing with them is that you're constantly in pain like 24/7, and the only thing that eases the pain is brains. And that's where you get the very famous brains. That's like where it originates from, is Return of the Living Dead.
Oh,
Great
okay.
freaking movie. It's like one of the best horror comedies out there.
Yeah, I learned something new today. I didn't know that. Marceline says, isn't Marvel Zombie supposed to have Moon Knight, who will be played by Mahershala Ali? So it's a what if Blade became Moon Knight mini story. I
Oh, they
hadn't
could.
heard that one before. Is he doing the voice? I wonder.
I hadn't heard that, but if
Uh,
that's the case, I find it funny because like not that oh god, what was the actor's name from this TV show?
yeah, he is. He's gonna be voicing.
Um,
He's
because
gonna be
yeah,
voicing the
I was like
character.
thinking like why not get him to come back?
Yeah, that is pretty dope. Yeah, I do remember seeing the first look image of Mahershala Ali's Blade Moon Knight. So yeah, he is going to be doing the voice. So that'll be interesting.
Huh.
Huh.
Cool,
All right.
cool.
Sam, what's up, Sam? Appreciate you certainly for certainly coming through today. Thank you so much. Hey guys, have you heard about Terrence Stamp passed away today? Rest in peace, General Zod and Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I did not know that. That's sad. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to Marvel Zombies. What's your level of anticipation for that show? I definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And from one MCU show, I should say, or Marvel animation show to Marvel television show, we're gonna go from Marvel Zombies to Vision Quest. That's right. The Vision Quest series is still a go. This show is, I don't even know if it's in production as of right now or not, but we do have the showrunner sitting down with Gizmodo this week to give us new details on the Vision Quest series. You know, Stuart, one of the things that we just talked about when it comes to Marvel Zombies, you know, the idea that it feels like Marvel Zombies, along with even Wonder Man, might have come in towards that tail end of the quality over quantity aspect of Marvel Studios. I don't know where Vision Quest fits in there. I feel like Vision Quest might have been announced during that same brief period of time, but close to the point where they also had the time to kind of make any changes in regards to their mentality when it comes to television series and their connective tissue to the MCU. And there's a part of me that thinks to myself, like, maybe Vision Quest is going to be sort of like that first branch of Marvel television shows that really put quality first. And really have a great launching point into one of our characters kind of going forward. I don't know why I have such belief in Vision Quest, even though it's one of those shows that were really kind of announced under the radar. We haven't heard too much about, but I'm kind of hoping that this series turns out to be quite successful. And it really all comes down to everything the showrunner is talking about. So let's bring this up here. This is from Gizmodo. Terry Matalis reveals new Vision Quest details. The pieces are slowly coming in place for Vision and his supporting cast of the 2026 miniseries Vision Quest. At Saturday's STLV convention, former Star Trek Picard showrunner Terry Matalis revealed some Marvel-approved details about his upcoming series Vision Quest. First off, I love that it says Marvel approved details. Like he had to sit down and like get approval from Kevin Feige to mention anything. It says the sci-fi series reunites with actors Todd Stashwick and Orla Brady, who respectively played Captain Shaw and Laris Talon in Picard. According to Matalis, Orla Brady will be playing Friday, Tony Stark's AI assistant, previously voiced in the films by Carrie Condon. And Stashwick is Paladin, a mercenary in Marvel Comics. When Stashwick was announced for the show, he was described as an assassin tracking down Paul Bettany's White Vision, who gained sentience at the end of WandaVision. So it looks like we have a mercenary here who's being assigned to track down White Vision. And then we also have the Friday character being portrayed in live action in some way, shape, or form, it looks like. As for returning Ultron, last seen in Age of Ultron and played by James Spader, Metalis teased the character would be used in a unique way. The series also cast yada yada yada. They also cast Emily Hampshire as Edith, the Stark-made AI in Spider-Man Far From Home. Metalis further revealed Vision Quest was full of Star Trek fans, which let them speak in Trek shorthand during production. He compared Vision's journey in the show to Spock's in Star Trek 4, implying the new android will have trouble connecting to his old memories now that he's been reawakened. The panel didn't feature a trailer or photos, but count us intrigued for Vision Quest. Stuart, as the Trekkie here on the panel, how do you feel about the showrunner of Picard kind of show running this show? And if you do recall Spock's storyline from Star Trek 4, anything that's this possibly resembles that interests you, or just the idea of Star Trek Picard in general show running this show? How do you feel about it?
I don't know. Like, so with Star Trek Picard, definitely not my favorite Star Trek show out there, but I think that they often in the show had some really great concepts that I just feel like in execution, especially like when it came to the way they end things, definitely weren't the best. But I don't know. I think that if they're doing something that isn't like restricted in like the Star Trek continuity, now they just gotta, they're doing their own kind of story, revolving around characters that have, because, with this new version of Vision, he is yet to be fully fleshed out. So it's not like they don't have as much baggage like they would with a character like Picard, who has, 7 seasons of history, not to mention a lot of, history before that from, flashbacks and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with this version of Vision, he's a brand new character, someone they can do a lot with. So right off the bat, you don't have to worry about them like getting the character wrong and anything like that. So in terms of like not worrying about how they write the characters, only worrying about how they tell the story, I think that if Picard is any indication, this could mean we have a really good hook, a really good middle, and then maybe not the best written ending. And that's just going by the structure of like every season of Picard. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting choice. I do like the Star Trek comparisons that he made when talking about the show itself, and the fact that there seem to be multiple Star Trek fans on the show working on it sounds kind of cool. In fact, I know that Kevin Feige himself was a Star Trek fan, because when they were filming Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I guess he came to visit set when they had oh god, what was his name? Black Bolt, right, from the Inhumans. They had him, the actor, playing him on set. Kevin Feige came and they thought he was there to give studio notes, but instead it was just to ask him questions about Strange New Worlds. So so like overall though, I'm definitely intrigued. I think there's definitely some potential with this concept taking a more kind of psychological, the right word, taking that kind of aspect of Star Trek and using that within the Marvel universe. I actually like that. My favorite sci-fi trope ever is when it comes to androids, or just, synthetic beings trying to discover, am I really human? What does it mean to have a soul? That's like one of my favorite sci-fi concepts to explore. Oftentimes, this is where, like, a lot of Star Trek fans who are autistic, like myself, we love it when there's like kind of a character that's like an android and they're kind of autistic coded in a sense, and I could see them going in that direction with this character as well. So I think I'm just like kind of curious how full Star Trek mode are we going with this show? But yeah, hearing the Star Trek behind it, and then even if Vision Quest isn't the show that I'm too excited for, just because it's definitely a show I didn't ask for. I'm definitely going to give it a watch, and I hope it's good. I hope it definitely gives you that good optimism that Star Trek that good feeling of optimism you get from Star Trek.
I gotta agree with you. That concept is one that I'm usually a really big fan of too, and I think that's why I find myself really excited that Star Trek mindset is kind of taking over this series. Because if they are diving into the android aspect of things, the memories, the knowledge, trying to sort of find himself, those are aspects of science fiction that I find really intriguing, and it feels like sort of like if you could have gotten I'm sure there probably maybe other showrunners they probably could have done this with, but the fact that they went the route of modern day Star Trek showrunner to work on this really works for me. Honestly, I feel like all the sci-fi elements will certainly be there. I appreciate your perspective on Star Trek Picard in regards to like the hook, the middle aspect of this show being really great, but it struggles in sort of sticking that landing. And I'm kind of hoping they keep that same momentum and do something like that for Vision Quest, but maybe stick the landing a little bit. It just, for me, the world of Vision feels very sci-fi Star Trek oriented to me. So this almost feels like the perfect making and combination of creators you could bring together to do this. If there is an aspect of this show that I think even fascinates me more, I think it is the AI aspect. Whether that be Ultron, whether that be Jocasta that's going to be in here, whether that's Friday, whether that's Edith, coming off of a series even like Ironheart, which had an AI storyline in there where Riri literally constructs her AI to come directly sort of like from her memory, and her AI is smart enough and brilliant enough to where like it even connects to moments of its memories and emotions and stuff, right? Like if I don't know if Marvel Studios planned it this way of dropping Ironheart that has such a focus on AI, and now we're going to get something like Vision Quest that also kind of like takes that next step into the world of AI. But the idea of, I would assume if you've cast a Friday and an Edith, that they're not just going to be voiceover work, that they're going to be like represented in some sort of live action way, like a human body or a representation, if you will, of a human body. And so to be able to have all these AIs interacting with each other in some capacity, all to kind of help guide maybe Vision along his journey or to find himself, that alone is really intriguing to me. And so I can't wait to kind of see all these different AIs and mindsets and how they kind of all play. All these AIs we've tend to collected throughout Marvel Studios now have like a show of their own, and to kind of see how that helps navigate somebody like Vision is going to be really promising. Because to me, the what sells me on this show, not just the sci-fi, not just the Star Trek, not just the AI, but Paul Bettany himself. The fact that he's coming back after his incredible work with Elizabeth Olsen in WandaVision. This is sort of like the beginnings of Marvel television on Disney Plus finally kind of coming full circle in a sense of like a proper trilogy for WandaVision, with WandaVision, Agatha all along, and now Vision Quest. I really hope that it puts a nice bow on this entirety of the story before we all just kind of jump back into Marvel Studios stuff. So I'm actually finding myself more and more that I hear about this, Stuart, really intrigued, and it's climbing my ranks of really anticipating this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I think I'm still a little bit in the middle. I think the one thing that's really kind of getting me a little optimistic is that this is funny enough, what I said earlier, it's a show that no one really asked for. But I would also say there was kind of that same mindset going into both Ironheart and Agatha all along. And both those shows, I think maybe part of it was that I went into both those shows with kind of low expectations. But then by the time they ended, I was like, wow, this was actually one of the better Marvel shows out there in both of those cases. Agatha, I think I liked a little bit more. But yeah, both of them had that thing going on where I'm like, I don't know if I'm really interested in, in exploring this part of Marvel. But then, like, both times I was like, oh, never mind, I'm wrong. So maybe it'll be so I think that there's a good chance because it's another show that again I didn't really ask for per se, and it doesn't seem like something that would interest me. It might surprise me again.
Yeah, I don't know if I have expectations for the show, but I do find myself like okay, like you guys are really gaining my interest with this one. I feel like you guys are saying all the right things to make me eager to see it when it drops day one. Kiki and Lucas says, speaking of Star Trek, I saw Michael Giacchino in concert a few weeks back. His Star Trek music is so good, and the Star Trek 2009 movie is incredible. I still love that movie.
Oh yeah.
I feel like some diehard Trekkies may not care for that the JJ Abrams stuff so much, but I really did do like Giacchino stuff there. Also did the music for Fantastic Four movie as well as a lot of Pixar and Marvel movies. Yeah, I think he's did the Spider-Man theme also, if I'm not mistaken.
He did a Doctor Strange because I remember the
Yeah.
theme song from Doctor Strange sounding so similar to the 2009 Star Trek movie, and then looking it up and going, "Oh, that's probably why it's the same person."
Yeah, Giacchino is a pretty brilliant guy. Um, are you guys fans of Ex Machina then? Yeah, that was a great
Love
movie.
that movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. You hear this from the showrunner of Vision Quest. What's your anticipation level for the series? We definitely want to know. It says it's coming out in 2026. I don't think there's an actual release date as of yet, so I am eager to kind of see where they drop this before Spider-Man, after Spider-Man, before Doomsday. I have no idea, but we'll keep you guys posted. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic as we're going to visit the world of the DCU, baby. James Gunn is in the news this week as they are getting ready to, well, they already have done their press tour for Peacemaker season 2. They had their red carpet premiere, I believe, last week. Peacemaker is set to go ahead and drop this August 22nd on HBO Max. So season 2 is right around the corner. If you haven't done your Peacemaker season 1 rewatch, now is the time. But James Gunn is in the news this week because he is talking highly about the importance of Peacemaker in not only the DCU, but also setting up storylines going forward, Stuart. And it does bring up some level of trepidation for me personally. I'm excited, but also at the same time, kind of concerned to see what the execution of all this is certainly going to be. But let's go ahead and dive into this article. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Said James Gunn says Peacemaker will set up rest of the DCU and teases when the next story in his super saga will begin production. The second season of Peacemaker debuted in New York on Wednesday night. James Gunn came ready to drop some hints on the show's role in the future of the DCU. As a result, season 2 will help lay out the pair's vision for what's coming up in the DCU. He says, well, maybe I says, I don't think there's anything I've ever done that I love more than this season. He says, it's a big part. Definitely Superman leads into Peacemaker. It should be noted that this is for adults, not for children, but Superman leads into this show. And then we have the setting up of all of the rest of the DCU in this season of Peacemaker. It's incredibly important. Lots of guest stars coming up, lots of characters that are showing up that we've already met in Superman. I don't think there's anything that I've done that I love more than this season of Peacemaker. I'm so excited for people to see it. John Cena also confirmed that this season is about furthering the narrative instead of standalone properties. All of the DCU is now connected. As you saw Peacemaker showing up in Superman, I think what you see in season 2 is just a forward of that narrative, that whole DCU through line. It takes the 11th Street kids through their next adventure, but it also has a lot to do with the DCU going forward. Gunn also gave a little tease about what's next for the success of Superman. He says, I've already finished the treatment for the next story and what I'll call the Superman saga. This treatment is done, which means a very, very worked out treatment. I'm working on that and hopefully going into production on that not too far from today. I'm
So
working
I
on that
was
and
I
hopefully
was
going into production not
wrong
too far from
last
today.
week then,
Oh,
because
go
last
ahead.
week oh,
No, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, so like last week, I was saying that that I believed what he meant was that he had an outline of a script, but he hasn't actually started writing it. But like listening to what he's saying now, I think no, it sounds like he's got the script all ready to go. It's now like just working on the pre-production.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, when he starts talking about the idea that it's what was his last line here? He says, yeah, the treatment is done, which means very, very worked out treatment. I'm working on that and hopefully going into production on that not too far away from today. Like it would be different if he said not too far away by the end of the year or something like that, you know, but the man said not too far from today. Like,
Hey.
are we getting an announcement next week, bro? Like how this feels like really, really super soon. And I'm personally here for it in regards to it. So look, a couple things that jump out to me when James Gunn talks about this. So first off, let me just say I'm ready to dive into this DCU world. I truly am. What he set up for me in Superman has me really excited for where the future is certainly going to go. And we've been waiting for sort of the page to turn on a new chapter of the DCU for a really long time. We got Creature Commandos, which was very much sort of like the appetizer course, but now we're fully into the main course. We got Superman, and our next step for all of us that are very much involved in it all being connected. Next up for us is Peacemaker season 2, and I think this is going to be really exciting. Look, James Gunn and both John Cena say this is going to be part of the through line for the overall DCU, pushing a lot of these characters forward, but also setting up a lot of story kind of going forward. My motto that I live by, Stuart, in James Gunn, I trust. All right. But I will say there is a little level of trepidation that I have in regards to this, in the sense of please do not make the same mistake that Marvel once did. And that is in regards to if it is all going to be connected, if you are going to be bringing these worlds together in the sense of important story beats happening in the television show along with the movie world of things, please execute it vastly differently than what the MCU certainly tried to do and unfortunately at times failed at doing it. I think uh, one of the biggest hindrances for Marvel is the idea of like introducing something in a television series and then throwing those characters into a movie, expecting people to have known who these characters are or having watched the television series in some capacity. And 9 times out of 10, general audiences, like your normal general audiences, just do not do that. So I do think that it is very important for James Gunn to recognize the idea that if you do have big storyline moments that are going to happen, I say please let them happen in the movies themselves. But I also do think that Superman teases us a little bit in the sense of how they could make this work and execute it a little bit better by maybe the usage of the opening crawl that we saw at the beginning of Superman. I am curious if Peacemaker has some level of opening crawl to kind of catch us up on. Or maybe if we go into something like Lanterns, maybe Lanterns will eventually have that. Or maybe Supergirl might have something like that, to where if, and this is just if big things do happen in Peacemaker or lanterns that are going to then in turn impact the movies themselves, please let there be some level of opening crawl or an exposition dump or an exposition recap of some sense in order to tell origin stories briefly or get your audience members sort of caught up in what's going on in this world, just so that it doesn't turn into homework. Like, I know James Gunn has mentioned the idea there will be no homework. You can watch all of these things individually and not feel like you've missed anything. But then when you tell me, oh, Peacemaker is going to be really important to the DCU going forward, what if I don't watch Peacemaker? Am I gonna be completely screwed if I only want to watch Superman and Supergirl? So I think there's always two sides. This could be like very much a double-edged sword. It can work, it cannot work. I think it's really going to be all about the execution that James Gunn has here, and how he tells these stories, because we just don't need homework. And if James Gunn says there's no homework, I'm gonna trust him in that. But we'll see what happens when it comes to Peacemaker season 2 and anything kind of going forward if James Gunn sticks to that. But regardless, I am really excited for Peacemaker season 2. It looks like it has the makings to be something great. It's already coming in at like 100% Rotten Tomato score as of right now. So people are really vibing with this, Stuart. But should I be worried? Should I be concerned? Am I taking away the wrong things from this when he says stuff like this? What do you expect, Stuart, when it comes to Peacemaker setting up the rest of the DCU here?
Like, I think what it means is that the pieces are going to be set there, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to be like continuing it. Like, for example, like I don't think this will be the piece specifically, but let's say the piece itself is the multiverse aspect of this new saga being set up, and that's what they're setting up in Peacemaker. I don't think they'll need to be like. I don't think there needs to be like this whole thing of, oh, you have to know that Peacemaker discovered the multiverse in his show to know why it's suddenly going on in Superman 2. I don't think there's going to be anything like that. I think what it's all just going to come down to is that there's going to be something that Peacemaker discovers that is going to seem very insignificant in the show, but then going forward, we're going to see that same piece again, and it'll be kind of a thing of those who have watched Peacemaker will go, oh, I recognize that thing, and those who haven't, they don't need to, because they know about as much of it as they know as much about it as the characters within the movie or show whenever that thing gets reintroduced. I'm just going to say MacGuffin because saying that thing just sounds weird. So I'm just going to say the next time we get a MacGuffin, like whatever the MacGuffin is that like moves the plot forward for the saga, it may get introduced in Peacemaker, but I don't think they're going to assume you know what it is when you watch the next movie or show that MacGuffin comes back in. So that's my prediction on how it's going to happen. And I say that because, Adam, I would be right there with you. I would be so worried about this if I saw this on its own and I hadn't seen any other interviews with James Gunn. If I just saw this in the pocket, I'd be like, ooh, that's probably not the smartest move, especially when you're making the important story happening in an R-rated show that, you know, a lot of people who watch Superman might not be old enough to watch, right?
Right.
So I don't think James Gunn would do that. I think just based on interviews that I've seen with him before, it's going to be a plot device that gets introduced, and that's about it. And then like later on, that plot device will get fleshed out, and it won't matter if you've seen Peacemaker, because at the end of the day, this plot device or MacGuffin, we're supposed to be learning about this as the movies progress. So it's like we don't need to know any more about it than the characters within the universe. That's my guess on how they're going to address it anyways.
No, you might be right, and if that's the way that it is, then I would be open to it. The idea of pocket dimensions coming back up here once again for Peacemaker, we saw it in Superman. It feels like that's something that's really going to be an interesting one. He has mentioned the idea of cameos, characters. Like we're literally going to get first introductions to new characters in the DCU here. I would assume there are going to be some superheroes, maybe some supervillains also that he's been holding away as cameos or secret surprises. So with a world that's already very much populated with superheroes, I'm really eager to kind of see some of like the mainstay characters that we know. Not like I don't want look, James Gunn loves his C-level characters as D-level characters. That's cool and all, but I really would love to see some B or A-level characters pop up here at some point in time. I do think Superman's going to pop up in this series towards the end. I am curious if anybody else is going to possibly pop up in here outside of the Justice Gang, but I definitely expect Superman, and I would love to see some other surprises come out of this for sure.
Yeah, you and me as well. Like I don't know if I'm expecting Superman specifically, but I do expect a character from Superman that hasn't been announced, because we already know that Hawkgirl and Green Lantern are going to be in it, and so I definitely think it's safe to assume we're going to get another Superman character. I'm kind of hoping it's Mr. Terrific, because we didn't see him when we had oh god, what's his name? James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn's brother, the character he's playing, Max Lord. Yeah, Maxwell Lord. We saw Maxwell Lord and the other two Justice Gang members. We didn't see Mr. Terrific there, so I'm hoping he has an appearance at some point during the show.
Your theory was that he might have left the gang, right?
To
form his own group.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's very possible. But if he hasn't, or if he has, either way, I think you could still like fit him in for a cameo.
Yeah, it would be cool if he pops up in here for sure. But look, I everything feels like it's in full swing mode. The fact that he's talking about doing another Superman family entry into this Superman saga of his feels like Gods and Monsters Chapter 1 is an overall sort of theme and an arc, and that there is sort of another storyline of Superman's arc that maybe works parallel to what's kind of going on, and then maybe all these stories merge at some particular point in time. But when you're James Gunn and David Corenswet right now, and you've got the momentum behind your back from Superman, Superman needs to start popping up in everything now, if you ask me. So I'm glad to see that he has the treatment ready to go. I would not be surprised if after the release of either after the release of episode 1 of Peacemaker, or after they're not dropping every episode at once, right? This is like
no, I think they're still doing weekly.
I am kind of curious if after the episode 1 release or after Peacemaker wraps up, if we're going to get an official announcement from James Gunn on what the next super sort of like entry is into that world. Because the way that he's talking, it sounds like his pre-production for it is either really far along or it's just now started, sort of thing. So I am kind of curious as to where we're going to go after this. But James Gunn has me excited for the future. I can't lie. I'm really excited for this too.
Yep, you and me both.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts, guys. What do you think is possibly happening here when it comes to Peacemaker season 2 and its impact on the DCU? And what type of film do you think James Gunn has in store for us out within this Superman saga that he's putting together? What happens if Supergirl flops and Peacemaker ratings aren't good? I don't expect Peacemaker ratings to be bad. Season 1 was great. From all the things that I'm seeing so far, Peacemaker season 2 seems to be going really well. DC, James Gunn hasn't really blown it when it comes to DC content as of yet. So if anything, I do expect it to be good. I don't know what a Supergirl flop looks like yet, but we'll see. I mean, I think they're gonna, regardless, I think they're gonna give James Gunn the grace that he needs to at least, whether or not David Zaslav lets him have the whole entire 10 years or not, to do everything that he wants to, or if they pull the plug early. I still think that there's, if anything, we're gonna get Clayface, we're still gonna get Green Lantern, we're still gonna get Supergirl. And then after Supergirl and Clayface, I don't know. I think maybe David allows him to get another Superman-ish movie out, Batman, and at least a Wonder Woman, regardless of what we wind up, regardless of how Supergirl winds up doing. Because the only reason why I say that, Stu, is because by the time Supergirl comes out, you're gonna want other things already in production, you know what I mean, ready to go ahead and drop for 2027 and 2028. So I expect them to already be in production for other things, even after Supergirl, regardless if it does well or not. But I think the positive momentum from Superman will be carried on into Supergirl.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, worst case scenario, even if it does end up being a flop, I don't think it would be I don't think it would be too detrimental to the DC universe as a whole. I think it would still be going. I don't want to say like super strong after that, but I think it would still go, decent after. Even if Supergirl wasn't the success they wanted.
Yeah, if anything, I would be interested to kind of just see like what is a success for Warner Brothers at the end of the day. But we'll see. We'll see. It's funny that people don't want homework with Peacemaker, but they were asking for that kind of homework for years with the MCU's show. So they hate what they asked for. I mean, sometimes that's the case, right? Sometimes you ask for, I don't know if people hate what they asked for so much as I just think it was just a poor execution on Marvel Studios' point, but it happens all the time. I think people ask for something, they get it. Oh, that's not quite how I wanted it though. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's normal for it to happen, especially when you get that chance to look at something in hindsight. I've always been a big supporter of it being connected in regards to the movie aspect of things, which why I was not a big fan of when they announced, hey, we're going to cancel all our Marvel Studios shows, all our Marvel television shows, and we're going to make all our new Marvel television be connected to the MCU. It's cool in concept. Can you make it work? Absolutely. So I think there's still a world out there where maybe there are some people that don't mind it. But I think if you can balance it out and execute it well, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, I think in hindsight, we may not like it now.
It's one of those things where I was excited about it when it was like announced in the concepts, but then I think like in execution, what we came to realize was that I think they just did a lot like way too early,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. With that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic. And it feels like we just talked about Star Trek, but we're now talking about Star Trek, Stuart, as Star Trek Enterprise is back in the news, specifically that of my boy Scott Bakula, baby. That's right, Scott Bakula. This is from the website trekmovie.com. I'm personally not too familiar with it, but they have an exclusive article saying Scott Bakula is eyeing a Star Trek return in President Archer series pitched from Enterprise producer. So let's dive into this and boldly go where no one has gone before, Stuart. This one is going to come to us from trekmovie.com. Look, let me just say this. I remember when they announced Star Trek Enterprise, and I remember thinking to myself, I can't remember if this was after Voyager. I can't remember off the top of my head if this was after Voyager or not. I think so. I think it was Star Trek Voyager, and then they decided to announce Enterprise. And I thought to myself, man, I loved Voyager. I want to continue this journey in Star Trek. I love Scott Bakula. So let me watch this series. And unfortunately, I never did, Stuart. I never did. But so I don't know how well it was received or not. But apparently, look, we're in a new day and age of Star Trek now. People are trying to return. We got some returning characters coming back for things like Starfleet Academy. Now it's time for a more modern day sort of Star Trek. Over on Paramount Plus. It feels like with all the spinoffs that they've had over the years, the idea of a President Archer series doesn't seem too far out of the norm. But let's see what the producer has to say. It's been 20 years. Wow, 20 years. That's crazy. Since Captain Jonathan Archer and the crew of the NX-01 returned to space dock for the series finale of Enterprise, wrapping up a 4-season run on UPN. It was the franchise's last network TV series. Since that time, series star Scott Bakula has kept busy. He's currently, or he was in NCIS New Orleans for 7 seasons, but it turns out he has kept an eye on his time in space and kept in touch with the veteran writer, whose Star Trek writing credits include 10 episodes of Voyager, 22 episodes of Enterprise, where he also served as a producer on more than 70 episodes. Ahead of his appearance at a panel on Saturday. Sussman spoke exclusively with Trek Movie about a series concept he has been developing with Scott Bakula over the last couple of years. Bakula himself will also be at the convention for a Sunday main stage panel. President Archer says, according to Sussman, the idea of Bakula returning to the franchise began a few years ago while Star Trek Picard was on Paramount Plus. That show wrapped up in 2023 under showrunner Terry Matalas, himself a veteran of Star Trek Enterprise and a friend of Sussman. At that time, in an email exchange with Bakula, Sussman first joked, "How soon are we going to see Star Trek Archer on Paramount Plus?" Then quickly realized he actually had an idea based on some seeds planted 2 decades before in Enterprise, and Bakula was intrigued. He immediately glommed onto it. The seed was based on the last episode that he wrote for the franchise, In a Mirror Darkly Part 2. The episode was set in the Mirror Universe and featured Bakula playing Archer's Mirror Universe doppelganger, who at one point had access to a Starfleet database from the future on board the USS Defiant and looked up his Prime Universe counterpart in a graphic seen by viewers as well. According to Sussman, it occurred to me that someone on the writing staff, not the art department, needed to write this graphic. Somebody needed to think about this, right? This was going to be a graphic that spelled out Archer's life and career after the series ended. Knowing the franchise was going into a freezer for a spell, Sussman outlined Archer's future, aware this graphic might be fully visible on the finished episode and therefore became Trek canon. In the end, it was, and it did. Thinking back on this episode was sort of that eureka moment for the writer. Holy ish, I actually have an idea for the series, going back to that view screen graphic that I planted all those years earlier. The key is that on Enterprise, Sussman established that Archer, after retiring as an admiral, left Starfleet to get into politics and eventually rose to president of the United Federation of Planets. And I think this is the graphic that he was referring to here. The show would have revolved around Archer's time as president, with Sussman likening it to the show like The West Wing or Homeland or The Diplomat. It's a political thriller and a family drama set in those chaotic formative years of the Federation. We did 98 hours of Enterprise, and I think he felt like he really explored that character, but this was a very different direction for Archer to go in, and I think he was really intrigued by that. They even had the title ready, Star Trek United, though they also considered dropping the colon and going with Star Trek United in general as it is. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's happening as of right now. He says he was preparing for a follow-up pitch, which would have included a pilot story, character arcs, and episode ideas. He says the meeting went well, with the executives liking the idea but wanting to think it over. It took a couple months of them before getting in touch, explaining that they took the idea seriously and brought it to the higher levels at Paramount. The Star Trek idea with Scott Bakula as lead would certainly merit a discussion, as he has been a major star at the company. However, at the time, they decided not to move forward with developing the idea further. The decision was made at the same time frame as Paramount was starting to pull back on streaming spending. There was also some thematic overlap with Earth-based Starfleet Academy series, which was in active development, so it wasn't the right time for Star Trek United. But now that Paramount has formed a partnership here or merged with Skydance, there is hope that maybe at some point in time, Star Trek United pitch will be back in the mix, Stuart. You're my Star Trek head, Stuart. How do you feel about this, man? Do you want to revisit Scott Bakula's character's President Archer series in the form of a political thriller and family drama set in the Star Trek universe? What do you think, man, about this?
I got to see a pilot or a script first before I say whether or not this can work. I definitely see potential for it, for sure. And it's something that I've been wanting Star Trek to do for a while now, which is the idea of more in-universe shows that aren't necessarily focused on like Starfleet. That was one thing that like I was excited about when it came to the movie Section 31 on Paramount Plus. Too bad that movie ended up being like really bad. But the idea of us like not
Yeah.
following like our traditional Star Trek characters, following kind of a new following characters that exist within the universe but aren't like necessarily related specifically to Starfleet or the Federation. I think this is a really cool, unique concept we can go with, because while the show ends with them finally kind of finding the Federation of planets and everything, they yeah, you know, I still think there would still be some. I would imagine it wouldn't be as smooth as, oh, okay, we all agree to work together, and then suddenly, you know, now we just automatically go to our utopian Star Trek future. I feel like there's got to be some hiccups along the way. So I think that because of just seeing like the way Archer as a character has grown and the way he's learned to have to not only adapt but like help other people adapt to make sure everyone can get along. I think that him in a presidential role in like kind of the early days of the Federation would be really fitting for a character like his. I think so you mentioned that you haven't seen Enterprise, or you don't know what the fan reception is.
Right.
So here's my personal take on what I think the fan reception. So for me personally, I loved Enterprise. I think Archer might actually be like one of my favorite captains, mostly because he's like
Wow.
he's one of the first where it's like I didn't like him in the beginning, and I think that was on purpose. Like he's very arrogant, and subliminally he's kind of xenophobic too. You know, especially like kind of his attitude towards Vulcans. So it just kind of made me go, really, this is our captain? But I think they did that on purpose because he really grows throughout the whole series. And I
Wow. Okay.
absolutely love that aspect about him. But anyways, my perspective on the fans of Enterprise is it's the same thing as Star Wars fans and the prequels. It's like when the prequels were new, the loud Star Wars fandom hated the prequels. The loud Star Wars fandom was like, no, the prequels suck. These are ruining Star Wars. George Lucas hates his fans. I was almost about to quote something that would have gotten us demonetized, but I stopped myself. But you know, regardless, that was like the impersonation. But like then you get to Star Trek Enterprise, right? It's the exact same thing. When that show came out, fans absolutely hated it. But then we cut to years later, we get new Star Wars, and now you get the loud fans going, no, the prequels were amazing. It's Disney that's ruining Star Wars, and the Disney Star Wars movies suck. These are killing Star Wars. It's the exact same thing with Star Trek. Like, you know, the loud voices that originally hated Enterprise are now going, Enterprise was a masterpiece. It's this new Star Trek from Paramount that's ruining Star Trek. So yeah, that's like when Enterprise was new, I remember fans hating it. Just like when the prequels were new, I remember fans hating it. And now, like that, we've had years of retrospect, you know, and we're looking at what's new and what came out before. You got those same fans, not same fans, I'm sure they're different, but you know, you got the loud fans going, no, Enterprise was amazing, guys. But yeah, for me personally, I loved Enterprise. So again, the concept is interesting on paper, but I would need to see like a script or a pilot to say whether or not I'm actually fully behind this.
That could be one of the reasons why I didn't watch Enterprise or fully commit to it, was because of all the things that I had heard about it prior. And I just remember never getting around to watching it. And with it being out and syndicated at the time, yeah, I just don't remember hearing a lot of positive things about it. But now that we are like 20 years removed from it, maybe it is something I should just dive into. You know, reading this story, and I've mentioned this before, and I thought about this like all week. You know, I know I've got so much stuff I gotta watch, but I'm like, man, I really want to do the Star Trek Enterprise thing. I really want to try and watch this series just because I am such a big Scott Bakula fan, and the way that you talk about him coming across as a captain is really fascinating to me. Like, just maybe not the immediate lovable captain, to start to show off, but some really great character growth to see where he ends up at. That sounds pretty cool to me. So I don't know. We'll see if I ever get down to it. But look, you say Scott Bakula wants to have another Star Trek series. I'm like, yeah, cool. Give Scott Bakula whatever he wants to. But I would agree. I mean, learning a little bit more about it, seeing a pilot, seeing a script, seeing how it kind of come together, where would it even fit timeline wise? But I don't know. I think I'm hoping that Paramount keeps their ears or eyes open at least to paying attention to this one if they ever do get serious about possibly doing it. Maybe it is also that nostalgia aspect of like just revisiting older captains that is fascinating to me. I still want a little bit more Captain Janeway in my life. I don't know if she's ever going to pop up again in live action, but yeah, I remember. I know she pops up like in animated form in Prodigy, but there's a part of me that's like, man, I could really use this her in live action again. So we'll see.
Be cool.
We'll see.
But if you need more Janeway and Chakotay, you gotta watch Prodigy. It is amazing.
Prodigy, okay. And let's move on to our next, since we are kind of talking already about Paramount and what they're doing. Paramount Pictures is in the news this week as they've had a really big shift happen over there. I believe we wind up having a brand new merger and acquisition. Skydance, where Paramount has been up for sale and Skydance has been eyeing them. And it looks as though the merger is officially complete. Hours after the Skydance Paramount merger closed last week, new studio leadership group is led by co-chairs Josh Greenstein and Dana Goldberg. They sent a loud message to the town that they meant business. They closed some massive deals this week also. So the landscape alone for Paramount Pictures is certainly changing. And anytime you get a merger, that tends to mean new management. That tends to mean certain IPs will get priority over others. And it seems as though they are not shying away from certain IP, Stuart. Let's dive into this because they're spending a ton of money right now. Apparently, they also just closed the deal for a Timothée Chalamet and James Mangold movie called High Side. This will be the second time Timothée Chalamet and James Mangold have worked together. I think they just worked together on his Bob Dylan biopic movie, didn't they? Dang, what was the name of that movie? It just came out recently.
I forgot.
They talk. It says it was a bold move and a bolt of energy that told that a town Paramount 2.0 wasn't looking to cut back on its upcoming feature slate, rather to make good on promises made during merger talks. All of this was underscored this afternoon at the Los Angeles presser for the new Paramount. It says one of our biggest priorities is restoring Paramount as the #1 studio filmmakers and talent in the world. Paramount's new CEO, David Ellison, said today at the media gathering, great filmmakers make great movies. For us, we're going to strategically scale the amount of content for our streaming service as well as studios. The new entertainment conglomerate, which prevented a further collapsing of the motion picture studios, even had the #1 exhibition boss, AMC's Adam Aaron, giddy on early calls Monday about the prospects for more movies on the big screen. Paramount in recent years has averaged 11 to 14 movies. Today at the presser said the goal is for 15 movies a year ASAP, followed by 20 movies a year in the near future. Paramount has been cash hampered in recent years, which has caused them to greenlight fewer movies than they might have liked to. It appears to us that Skydance is cash rich, and would be our expectation that Skydance would be releasing more movies coming out of Paramount that Paramount has been releasing in recent years, is what they say. From high-profile franchises that have been at the center of their release schedule for decades to new original stories featuring A-list talent, below is a list of where things stand on several priorities that can help build the future slate. So this is the slate status report in regards to things that they are looking to work on. So let's see here. We've got speaking of co-financing, what happens now that the studio's biggest co-financer is now the owner? Sources tell us that the plan is for the new Paramount on future big tent poles like Star Trek and Top Gun is to keep the upside completely. Any slate co-financing is bound to happen on mid-sized budget movies that have risk potential. Paramount president Jeff Shell, who is known as being a proponent of window crunching during his run, will continue to look at maximizing theatrical window value at the new Paramount. Let's see here. Another high priority is Star Trek, in which Ellison has been involved with since the prequel, Star Trek Into Darkness. Star Trek is a priority across the country. Right now, Paramount is developing a film in the Star Trek franchise that features brand new characters. It has the Andor director Toby Haynes on board to direct. The studio also has another installation with Captain Kirk, Spock, and the rest of usual characters returning with Abrams producing. So it looks like they have 2 Star Trek movies in the works currently right now. One project the studio is sure to have an eye out on is the Top Gun franchise. Top Gun is a priority for us, though it has not been formally announced. They have been working on the script for the next film. On the Transformers front, the franchise saw a rebooted live action film, Rise of the Beast. Prior to the sale, the studio had 3 separate scripts in development, including one source has Michael Bay returning to the franchise. Those scripts should be ready for new leadership to take a look at shortly. They also have A Quiet Place 3 that they just recently announced, which they dated for summer 2027. John Krasinski is back to write and direct, though no cast is attached at this point. And then following the success of TMNT Mutant Mayhem, the studio moved fast on a sequel, dating the next film for September 2027. They also have a live action version based on the graphic novel that has Hamada producing. So it looks like they're also still have their eyes set on The Last Ronin, Stuart. They haven't forgotten necessarily about The Last Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
So this acquisition from Skydance and Paramount is now pumping a bunch of cash into Paramount from Skydance, who seems open to really utilizing it to acquire A-list talent. So much so that even Stranger Things creators, Matt and the Duffer Brothers, they're negotiating a massive Paramount overall deal right now. It says they are in advanced negotiations to exclusively create film and television with an emphasis on tentpole movies at the Legacy Studio. Just taken over by Skydance. The move would reunite the Duffers with Cindy Holland, who's Paramount's new head of streaming, who's the one that greenlit Stranger Things to begin with. So they already have immediate connections to people in power over at Paramount. And so they're trying to negotiate a very lucrative deal right now to move over from Netflix to Paramount. So Paramount's landscape, it has vastly changed all of a sudden, from going from 11 to 14 movies to potentially 15 to 20 movies now that Skydance is in charge here. What do you think, Stuart, about the focus on some of these new or tentpole IPs like Star Trek, Transformers, I was about to say Fantastic Four, but TMNT, Top Gun is still there right now. What do you think about this merger?
You know, it was something that they said in the beginning of the article. I can't remember exactly how it was phrased, but it was something about like, you know, it came off as them saying that they're kind of more for quality over quantity. Uh, and I really hope that's not the case, because you know, if you're going to do a movie, especially like when it comes to kind of like the like Top Gun 3, for example, and same with Quiet Place, it's like if you're going to do sequels to those movies, those are movies that, like, you know, have a huge, like, that are very much like, have a huge following, and very much what makes them great is because they're not being released super often. That's part of what makes them great, is that they don't come out often, and when they do, they have a bigger impact because of how good they are. But if you're kind of like rushing out sequels and you're not putting in the effort that they do for the previous films, then you know, you take away kind of what made those movies so you know, popular and so financially successful. You take away what made it that way to begin with. Yeah, when it comes to the other stuff, though, it was all stuff that I kind of knew before the merger. I kind of figure, I think like the only real difference is that now that with Skydance behind it, it'll probably go into production faster. But you know, I've already made my thoughts clear on, you know, Michael Bay coming back to the Transformers franchise. If anyone ever needed more evidence out there that there is no God, there you go. And then as for Star Trek, of course, you know, I'm always looking forward to you know, new Star Trek content. I like the idea of, you know, both being able to continue the universe, but then also, you know, maybe making Star Trek movies that aren't necessarily part of the J.J. Abrams you know, timeline, or you know, they don't necessarily have to be like part of the original series timeline. They can still be in that universe, but you know, we don't have to focus necessarily on the Enterprise. And just saying, you know, Quentin Tarantino's script is still out there. We could still always have his Star Trek movie, and I would not complain, because not gonna lie. So like, before, when I had heard that Tarantino was pitching a Star Trek movie, I thought it sounded absolutely terrible, until I heard what its pitch was. And I'm kind of all for it. I actually think this is something that would be really good.
So
If he was
you have heard it?
Yeah.
You've
And
read it?
it's, yeah, I haven't read it. I heard his pitch, like, or basically I read an article where he gave what his pitch was for his Star Trek movie. But essentially, this is what makes me respect J.J. Abrams as a director even less, is that apparently the main thing is that before he could write it, he needed to have a discussion with J.J. Abrams about the Kelvin timeline. He's like, okay, so I don't understand like how this timeline thing works. And J.J. Abrams is like, oh yeah, I really don't understand it either. Even though he's the one who created the timeline. He's the one who created the 2009 Star Trek movie, which split the timeline. And he's just straight up admitting, yeah, I don't understand it. It's like, fuck you. Don't direct movies you don't understand. Anyways, sorry, what was the, oh yeah, and then Last Ronin. I am glad that that's still something that they're working on, because that was one, like, we were talking about a couple years ago. I think it was like after the animated Ninja Turtles movie came out, we mentioned that movie being in production. I'm glad that's still in production. That is a movie that I know they originally were going to have it go straight to Paramount Plus, but I hope it goes to theaters. You know, I hope they changed their mind about that. But yeah, as of now, it's like, I don't know what to expect, because yeah, it's cool that we're getting all these you know, movies going into production a little bit faster than we would have under just Paramount. But at the same time, I also am just hoping that doesn't mean that they're rushing these into production. They're not like they're not like kind of forcing directors to, or writers and directors to, come up with completed scripts before they're really ready to go. You know, that's kind of like my big concern about it.
Yeah, if anything, I have no problem with them trying to release more movies in the year, as long as they don't make the same mistake that we've seen other studios in regards to quantity over quality. So I do hope that they have a good mindset in regards to, like, yeah, even, you know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of when you know, Warner Brothers wind up bringing in new management for like Warner Brothers Pictures and stuff, like the Pam was the Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi stuff. Like when they first came in, you know, in order to acquire talent, that they were like paying people just tons of money to make these projects, and some projects just either never got off the ground, or, you know, the projects that they did get made were like terrible. And then it feels like 2025 has been like the change of course for them, like where it's showing all the money that they have put out there for their creatives is now finally kind of coming back. Like the movies that Warner Brothers has decided to put money towards, maybe the first year or two didn't necessarily look so great, but now we're getting movies like Sinners and Weapons, and a lot of original content for some really great filmmakers, and it's finally coming back to pay off for Warner Brothers. And I kind of feel like that it might be what happens here with Skydance in the sense of Paramount, that they may go out of their way to try and, put a lot of money towards their creatives and creators in order to kind of give them like a brand new home, in the sense of like, if you stay with us, we'll pay you lucratively, but you got to make great content. And so we'll see if like Warner Brothers, if the first year or two of this is going to be rocky before they actually start really getting sort of their money back, if you will. But I love all the properties that they're kind of eyeing on. I don't know what other properties they have IP towards that they haven't necessarily announced, but out of those stuff that they're talking about, yeah, give me more Star Trek, give me more Transformers. Just don't repeat the mistakes of the past in regards to the creators that you bring on board, because I just don't need Michael Bay being fully attached to Transformers forever. But everything else seems really promising for me, so I'm hoping that this merger really works out.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the live view, in the live comments. Kiki and Lucas says A Complete Unknown is the name of the movie, the Timothy Chalamet and James Mangold movie. We don't need more streaming services, especially since it looks like Paramount Plus is maybe going out of business. Is that true? I don't know. Since Paramount shut down their TV studios and some of their IP they own is going to be to other streaming services, really on its last legs. I mean, I do wonder if this merger is going to be what saves that from happening, but I don't know too much about it to be able to give you an accurate answer. But yeah, let us know your thoughts, guys. And then last but not least, we'll end up on this note, Stuart. Rambo is back in the news, baby. That's right. Rambo's coming back. I thought we were done with these Rambo movies, but I guess when you got a franchise or an IP, you got to do something with it. And it looks as though we're going to be going back into time, Stuart. We've got ourselves a Rambo prequel film. And while it doesn't necessarily have Sylvester Stallone attached to it, it is moving forward. It winds up revealing to us this week that we actually have a cast announcement for who will be playing Rambo. And if you ask me, Stuart, I don't know if they could have cast any better. This is from Deadline.com. Rambo Origins pick John Rambo at Millennium has Noah Centineo in its crosshairs to star. I'm sorry, Stuart, but when I look at this guy, I think to myself, this guy looks like he could be a young John Rambo, easy. I don't know if it's the beard, it's the hairstyle. It looks like they might have ripped this guy from like a young Sylvester Stallone lookalike content. I don't know what it is, but Noah Centineo just really fits that bill here for me. It says this is exclusive following word this past spring that a package was coming together for a Rambo prequel. Millennium Media looks to have its man, as sources tell Deadline that Noah Centineo is attached to star in John Rambo. Sisu director Jalmari Hellander is set to direct from a screenplay by writing duo Rory Haynes and Sohrab Nashravani. Sources say a plan is to shoot at the top of 2026 in Thailand. Insiders also add that while no deals are in place, Lionsgate is the front runner to land the package. The studio has released the past two Rambo pictures and also has a relationship with Hollander, having worked with him on Sisu. The film's plot is under wraps, but it will be the origin story of a young John Rambo during the Vietnam War. One of the most iconic action heroes in U.S. cinema, the character was created by David Morrell in his first novel, First Blood. The original 1982 film saw Sylvester Stallone play the veteran Green Beret, who was forced by a cruel sheriff and his deputies to flee into the mountains and wage an escalating one-man war against his pursuers. As for Stallone, when Deadline first reported on the package, insiders told Deadline he was aware of the project but was not involved. As of today, that remains the same. Sources now say that Stallone has been alerted to Noah Centinio's attachment. So yeah, we're getting ourselves a brand new Rambo movie, Stuart. I'm kind of I'm low key kind of excited for this one. Granted, I have not necessarily been a fan of the last two Rambo installments, or at least not like old man Rambo, the last one that we wind up having. I kind of want to see this happen. Last time I saw Noah Centineo, I think he was in the movie Warfare. I think he was at one point in time cast to be He-Man before that He-Man movie fell apart. And then I also remember him from him as Adam Smasher and Black Adam, if I'm not mistaken, also. I haven't really, I think he's in something else recently too that I have not had the opportunity to watch, but I do love this for Noah Centineo. And I do feel like, considering that Rambo's time in Vietnam really kind of helped shape sort of the PTSD and the issues that he certainly had, and his own sort of legitimate viewpoints on the war and stuff, all come from his time and in the Vietnam War. And so to be able to be plunged back in there, the idea of being kind of involved in the war that most people probably feel like we shouldn't have been involved in the first place, and had real sort of ramifications on our U.S. history and stuff, and our impact and how people viewed us kind of around the world. I do think that revisiting that time period, especially right now, I think is really prevalent. So, just when you think that there's not another Rambo story to tell, we have one. I don't know where you would even go after this. Like, how much more Rambo can you possibly tell? But a prequel film, I'm open to, man. Just give me the violence, give me a war movie with a really great message. If we can avoid the mishaps of maybe the last Rambo movie, or let me see if I can pull up Rambo.
Last Blood was the last one, and
saga.
Yeah, because it's been so long since I've watched I watched the first one like every few years or so, but I haven't seen like this, but all the sequels I've only seen once. But I remember 2 and 3 were fun, dumb action movies. 4 I actually really liked. But then 5 I just remember absolutely.
The 2008 Rambo?
Oh, that one, yeah, I thought that one was pretty fun. But it was the
I thought that was a really good one.
It was the last one I hated, which was called, I believe,
Last Blood. The Last Blood.
Yeah, that one. Man, I'll give it this: the climax was pretty fun, but everything before that, it was not a good movie. And honestly, it kind of came off as a bit racist to me. I don't know if that's just me, but it very much came off as kind of racist, I think.
I would agree with you in the sense that, for me, Rambo's 2, 3, and 4 were really great entries into it. I did love I can't say I loved, but it was just really intense, and it just felt like a Rambo movie. The Rambo of 2008 was great.
Mm-hmm.
First Blood, I've seen like once or twice in my life, and it's just a little bit boring to me. It's just a little bit kind of slow, a little bit dull at times. Yeah, the first Rambo. Maybe I'll have to watch it again. But like, for me, the 85, 88, 2008 just felt like a great sort of like war action film to me. But yeah, Last Blood was very much that old man Rambo. It didn't really work for me. I didn't really care for it so much. But so I like more out of the Rambo franchise than I don't. But this does have me quite excited where we go from here. I like the casting. I think Noah Centineo is a fine actor, and I think to have him play John Rambo really works for me from a visual standpoint. I think he looks just like a young John Rambo, and I think there's some really great themes that could be pulled out of this movie if done well. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't seen too much of the actor with Noah, so
Noah.
I don't have really too much of an opinion on him playing Rambo. But because I think I've only seen him as the Atom Smasher. So I'm definitely curious to see how he does in the role. It'll be kind of cool to see like someone else taking up the role as Rambo.
It will be, and I'm kind of curious how Sylvester Stallone feels about it, him not being attached to the project. I wonder if he'll talk to Noah, give him some words of wisdom and advice, or if he feels kind of some type of way about it. Why can't you make a Rambo prequel with me? You know, like sorry, Sylvester.
I can pull off a teenager getting drafted. Seriously,
DH me, DH
me.
How many Rambo projects can they make before they run out of space to put in a timeline and then finally have to abandon it completely? That's what I'm saying. Like, where do you go? Like, maybe the last vestige of like a storyline opportunities was his time in the Vietnam War. But like after that, where do you go? You've really told this man's entire life. Who knows? We'll see. See how it does.
I am curious who they're going to get to play the general that trains him, because I'm assuming they're not going to use the same actor. I mean, is the actor even still alive?
I don't even think he's alive. Yeah, I don't even think he's alive. I feel like they also used the TV show to eventually set up a spinoff to keep the franchises running on auto fumes, because that's how capitalism works now with capitalism. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What's your level of anticipation for a Rambo prequel movie? And then none other than Noah Centineo being cast as a young John Rambo. Let us know your thoughts in the live chat below. And with that out of the way, guys, that will do it for all of our main topics today. Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer questions segment of the show. Stuart, can you pull up the live viewer questions on the screen for me, please?
I sure can.
I can. I do have the questions pulled up on my phone, so I can read off of them. Can I sort this by? Oh yeah. Okay, I think that's how it goes. All right. Yeah, I'll wait till you get that up. And if you guys ever want to go ahead and submit a live viewer question every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening over on our YouTube channel, we will post a live viewer question post for you guys. Just go over to our YouTube page, click on the post tab, and voila, you will find live viewer questions. We haven't put on any music in a while just because with the system running a little bit slower, I wanted to make sure that I didn't give my computer any reason to slow down. But we will be answering your guys' live viewer questions today. Kiki and Lucas says they love the Quiet Place movies. I do too. I was a big fan of the first one. The second one was pretty good. I didn't mind A Quiet Place so much. All right. First up, we got Peg C. If Mortal Kombat 2 becomes successful and we do get a third movie and spinoff, which Mortal Kombat character would you like to get a spinoff movie? Liu Kang, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and so on. Who plays Liu Kang? The kid from Power Rangers, right? I can't remember.
Oh,
Ludi Lin. Is he playing Liu Kang?
Wait, is Liu Kang in? Hang on.
I thought that's who Ludi Lin played.
No, I think he played an original. Yeah, he played an original character.
No. He played Liu Kang.
Wait, did he? Oh shit! Oh wait! You're right.
Am I tripping?
Hang on. Dude, it's been so long since I've seen Mortal Kombat. I can't remember. I mean, by so long, I mean it's been like 5 years. But yeah,
he played Liu Kang. Yeah,
it was Liu Kang. Oh, okay, cool.
if you can make a compelling Liu Kang story, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, Liu Kang was the lead for the very first Mortal Kombat movie. So maybe, I don't know. Would you have any Mortal Kombat characters you would like to see explored a little bit more? Maybe Raiden. I don't know. Who would you like to see more of?
I like the idea of Raiden, but I don't know. Maybe Scorpion. Like we got a little bit. We got his backstory, the beginning of it in the first Mortal Kombat movie, but like I wouldn't mind if they went deeper in depth with it.
He also asks, what are your thoughts on Paramount planning to buy Warner Brothers? Is that still a thing?
If that is the thing, I hope it doesn't happen because like it would just be a mess because there's no way they're going to be able to acquire every single asset of Warner Brothers, which means that they would be completely bought like by other studios as well. So I don't know. I think it would be less about like Paramount owning Warner Brothers and more about Warner Brothers just getting rid of IPs that they don't want anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing anymore. Just because Paramount just had the merger with Skydance, I wonder if that's what the idea of Paramount. Like, one, I don't even know if Paramount has enough money to buy Warner Brothers. To be honest with you, but I would assume because Paramount and Skydance has merged, that's kind of squashed any changes from actually materializing because Paramount chose to merge with Skydance. So I don't think the Paramount Warner Brothers thing is happening anymore.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Power Rangers being a part of the game in Fortnite? Oh yeah, I did see like a live action commercial for it. It looked pretty dope.
Yeah, I not a Fortnite player, but I love that trailer that they did.
Have you got the chance to see the new season King of the Hill? If so, what are your thoughts? I watched the first episode last week, I think. It was pretty interesting. I'm not one that's actually sat down and real like, if King of the Hill is on, it may be on in the background. I've never been one of those people that have actually sat down and watched it and paid attention to it week to week to week. So like just seeing the changes and stuff that are happening. Like I kind of dig and this is just from watching the first episode. I kind of dig the family asking themselves if they made the right decision of coming back to the United States compared to the life that they lived over in Saudi Arabia. I think I don't know. I think it adds an interesting dynamic of putting a lens on us as a country. I don't want to say questioning our freedoms and stuff, but like just questioning the livelihoods that we have, how well we take care of ourselves and each other as a country. So even the idea of like, is it better in Saudi Arabia? Like, like the fact that they are even having that conversation is an interesting one to me. And seeing what their son has turned out to be is interesting too. So yeah, I don't know. I would probably watch a second episode. I probably would watch a second episode. But you've watched more of it than me, I'm sure, Stuart. But how do you like it?
I love it. It's everything I wanted in a King of the Hill revival show. I love seeing how Hank and Peggy now look at the world, especially because if they lived for so long in an isolated community in Saudi Arabia, like after the end of the original series, so then coming back and then basically not being here for the 2016 election, not being here for 2020, like during COVID. I imagine, when you come back to America after all of that, you're just kind of like, what the heck is happening?
What the hell? Yeah, the world has changed so much.
And I love that ending though, where it's like Hank's like he goes to buy the Girl Scout cookies and he's just like kind of ready to be angry, and then like kind of learns, hey, I guess not all change is bad, because like at the very end. And I think it was told in such a simplistic way, and I think that's kind of what it needed to get through to Hank, is that it needed to be told to him in such a simplistic way that a child had to explain it to him. And I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of beautiful. But yeah, I think that like as the season as a whole is amazing. I think this is actually one of the best TV revivals ever.
I'm looking forward to seeing if I can fit more King of the Hill episodes in for sure. What are some of your favorite moments from the Dragon Ball Classic series, the series before Super Saiyan existed, before characters shooting lasers everywhere? It's just classic grounded hand-to-hand fights. Some of my favorite moments are when Goku loses because it was before Goku was an invincible god, and here Goku could lose to a regular person. So when Goku would lose, it made his victories, especially in the finale where he fights Piccolo, more rewarding because he worked so hard that he deserved his wins. A little bit of insight for me. I have never watched the original Dragon Ball series. I actually came into the show during DBZ and was introduced through there. I've watched all of DBZ, all of GT, all of Super, and I think some of Daima. Um, I've seen clips and I've seen maybe a couple episodes here and there of the original Dragon Ball series. It is actually on top of my list of when I do get free Crunchyroll to kind of go back and watch. My friend Jonathan was always a big fan of Dragon Ball. I do remember even reading some classic Dragon Ball mangas before. But Jonathan always used to tell me all the time, Adam, you got to check out Dragon Ball. You got to check out Dragon Ball. And I just never went back and checked it out. So like I do miss like foundational pieces of like the relationships between him and Krillin growing up, him and Bulma, like I know he's friends and I know he's connected with them, but like how he meets these people, they're very early childhood stories I'm not super familiar with. Most of my stuff comes from DBZ, Super, GT, and Daima, unfortunately. But I do want to go back. I do want to go back.
Yeah, it's so fun. It is very different from Dragon Ball Z and everything
Yes,
that came
I think that's
after because
I
it's
think that's
more.
what's taken me a hard time to get into it because I've enjoyed like DBZ is just on a whole nother level and I enjoy that intensity. Whereas
Mhm.
Dragon Ball is definitely I want to say it's kid oriented because there are some really like adult oriented stuff in it, but it's pulled back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's just more simplistic in that sense. And I think because I was exposed to the intensity at first, it's been hard for me to go back to that.
Man, I don't know what I would say. I think one of my favorite moments though would probably be Goku being reunited with his grandpa during like the
Mm.
one tournament. It's a mixture between that and a joke that was just so bizarre and funny that it just has never left. Because basically, I read through the whole manga because, like I started, of course, with Dragon Ball Z, and it really wasn't until years later I watched Dragon Ball, and even then I haven't watched it all the way through. But I finally did read the manga all the way through, and I think the funniest joke ever, for context of how this was set up, during the tournament, Goku turns into a giant ape because he sees the moon. So basically, Master Roshi's solution is to blow up the moon to turn him back to normal. Later on, we get to the next tournament. We see that there's this wolf guy who's really pissed off at Roshi, and we don't know why. And then we find out it's because he is a what did they
It's a
call it?
werewolf.
He's a wolf. They called him like a wolf, not a wolf man. It was like a wereman or something like that, where he's a wolf until it's a full moon. And so because he blew up the moon, he's
Oh
now stuck as a
no, as
wolf
a wolf.
forever. And
Yo,
so he's pissed at
that's
Roshi for
hilarious.
that. It's just such a weird
That's
premise. But like I loved
pretty
how
funny.
weird Dragon Ball could get. Like he even had Goku fighting classic Universal monsters like Dracula at one point.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's very much. It almost feels like a different world from Dragon Ball Z.
Uh-huh. I think that's why it's always just been so hard for me to get into. But yeah, I do wanna rewatch it for sure. Or I do want to watch it for sure. What is a badly written comic that you would like to see get an adaptation? What is a badly written comic that you would like to see get an adaptation? For example, Spider-Man No Way Home borrows elements of One More Day, which is viewed as one of the worst Spider-Man comics ever made, but No Way Home itself is seen as a top-tier Spider-Man movie. Although lately people have been trying to do some history revisionist stuff in regards to saying No Way Home's a bad movie. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but I have you heard of that lately?
I have, and funny enough, not through the internet, but at work, because yeah, it's just people saying, "Oh
Wow.
yeah, no, this is not a good movie." It's like, what are you talking
What are you
about?
talking about? You must not have been around for the moment in history that I was around for when the people were crazy about this movie.
Hmm.
I want to see Shadowland be adapted for Daredevil. It is a terribly written comic that was compounded with endless tie-ins, but the idea of Daredevil taking over the hand and turning them into a dictator police force for New York and the other street level heroes unite to stop him. Badly written comic. I still want the the Clone Saga, bro. I still want the
Hmm.
Spider-Man Clone Saga. Like, even though I had fun with it as a fan, maybe because I was younger when it came out. I wasn't a full-grown adult that could, fully understand and recognize everything. But I remember having a good time with the Clone Saga, the Ben Rileys, the Canes, the Jackals, the back and forth of I'm the real Peter, you've taken my life. Like, as convoluted and crazy as some people probably felt that storyline was and how terrible it was. um I kind of want to see it adapted. I really want to see that story told a little bit better, because I am a big Ben Riley fan. I love the Scarlet Spider costume. I'm talking traditional, like, hoodie with the cuffs and the anklet cuffs. Like, I really would love to see that. So the Clone Saga, I know, gets a lot of hate for some people, but I would love to see that adapted in some way, shape, or form, whether that be animated or live action.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that would be a great one. I think mine would be Heroes in Crisis, because I think it had such a great premise, great setup, and then the execution, especially at the end, I think it's where they really fumbled it. But I want to see that same premise, but with, like, I just want to see it executed a lot differently.
Oh, differently, yeah. Here's why I can't separate art from artist when it comes to Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling still owes the IP of Harry Potter and makes profit off it still, and still uses Harry Potter to cause harm towards trans people, by recently donating £70,000 to a feminist group to help its bid to obtain the historic Supreme Court ruling stating that men cannot become women, and openly gloated about it on Twitter. Not only that, but the Harry Potter series already had some stereotypical tropes, like Lupus's werewolf being a metaphor for AIDS, which came across as pedophilic. Um, One of the few black characters named Bolt, or how there's so many schools for different European countries, but only one for all of all of Asia. also, also, casting Papa Seydu as Snape is offensive because Snape works for Voldemort, who is essentially Wizard Hitler, and having a black guy play the role of the character who was Harry's father bullied and drove him to Voldemort is quite offensive. I don't know. Sometimes I think that's reaching a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's just me. Um, and then there's reporters trying to downplay the controversy. Like, one reporter made an article saying how John Lithgow is handling the controversy, but it isn't about J.K. Rowling's transphobia. It's about him as an American playing a British character. Even John Lithgow isn't transphobic himself. The fact of him not doing his research on the people he works with, their own political beliefs, seems like not caring about what trans people or other marginalized groups think, and only cares about money and recognition. And if that's the case, then just own up to it. You can't be an ally if you're endorsing bigoted work. One thing I hear the trans community say often is that while they understand that some allies may have a hard time since they grew up and fell in love with Harry Potter, they also want them to know if you choose to watch or give any attention to Harry Potter, then that means your entertainment is more important than people's lives. Because to be an ally means to also make sacrifices like giving up a piece of entertainment, showing up at protests, and risking your bodies, as trans people should do the same to other marginalized communities. Because if you don't, why should trans people go out and support other communities like BLM if they're not being supported? I don't know if there was a question in there, or if that was just a comment that you were making. Oh, that's why he says he can't separate artists
Yeah.
from artists when it comes to Harry Potter. Yeah, I guess I don't want to get too deep into it because it's gonna take all show, but um, in some aspects I get it, in some aspects I don't, and I only say that because if especially for people that were big fans of this stuff before all this stuff happened, right? Like before the internet even became a thing, before we even knew what's her face's sort of thoughts on it, you know. Um, it could be that you fell in love with this particular IP because of the stories that were told and how they kind of impacted your life, or maybe it hit you on a personal level, or who knows? Maybe I'm sure there are probably stories of some people that loved Harry Potter to a point to where it saved their life from something. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people enjoy these IPs for what they are, and that's the stories and the characters that are involved in them, not so much the people that wrote or created these characters, right? So you're invested in an IP for 15, 20 plus years, and then all of a sudden the creator opens its mouth and it's
Mhm.
hateful and bigoted and against something that you don't necessarily believe. Does that automatically mean that your love for that IP should not exist, or that you shouldn't continue to enjoy taking in that IP just because now they've said something that you found offensive or that you don't necessarily believe in? um I find that as a hard balance, I guess, for sometimes. Like, I guess maybe some things are easier um to like stop watching or reading or listening to than other type of things. But I don't know. I think that's really I think that's hard for some people um that want to just be able to separate the art from the artist, even if they don't necessarily consider themselves transphobic. What do they do with this IP that they've loved for such a long time that has impacted their own life in a positive way? Do you throw that all away because of J.K. Rowling? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, Stuart.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of telling someone that they can't be an ally just because they still watch Harry Potter. Now, I that being said, if you're going out of your way to constantly support the author, like you're constantly buying everything new that she comes out with, you're constantly watching the movies on HBO Max, or you're buying them digitally, rather than watching them on home video, where your view does not give the author or HBO any extra money. Those are the type of things I consider. So it's like, for me, I'm still gonna watch the Harry Potter movies. Years later, I'm not gonna watch them on HBO. I'm not gonna buy any more copies. I have them on DVD. I had them way before all the transphobic shit with J.K. Rowling on Twitter like happened. So that's how I'll watch it. And it's like, if someone decides to say that I'm not a real ally because I still watch the Harry Potter movies, that's their choice. I'm not going to try to I will still consider myself an ally, but if someone who is trans does not consider me an ally because I still watch them, that is their choice. And it's definitely a complicated thing. And I know that, I get that it's really hard for some people, and I get why it feels that way. Why, when someone, is watching something that is, its creator is so bigoted, I can see why it feels like a betrayal. But for me, it's like, again, maybe like, while it's hard to separate the art from the artist sometimes, for me it's just, you know what, I'll even be honest, it may come down to the selfish fact that like, I'm not in that marginalized community, so therefore I don't have that big impact. I can still say I hate J.K. Rowling as a person. I can say undoubtedly she's a terrible human being, especially if you listen to the podcast that came out recently, where it's literally just 7 hours of her saying she was a victim, and on Twitter and kind of shit like that. It's so ridiculous because she titles it as an apology. It's not an apology. It's her playing victim. But yeah, it's like, but I can't deny I really like the Harry Potter movies. and I will go out of my way to make sure I do not purchase anything Harry Potter related that can, like, financially put money into her pocket. I will watch them on DVD, and I will not I haven't purchased Hogwarts Legacy, I mean, not that I was ever interested in the game to begin with, but things like that. So it's I think that, rather than completely dismissing the property itself, find ways around it that you can, like, still enjoy the property without, like, without supporting the author. And then, again, I've made this joke before, Pete Davidson route. If you feel guilty enough about it, donate money every time you watch a Harry Potter movie to a organization that helps people who are trans that, might be like, like there's a huge, like, homeless like issue with trans people in, like, Oregon, specifically, like Portland, because of, like, how many of them get disowned by their families. Donate to charities to help them, things like that, if you really feel bad about the watching the Harry Potter movies. But yeah.
Let's see here. We also got Blossom with the question. She says, I know I mentioned this ages ago, but remember when I said that Kimberly is Zachary's cousin, my counterpart for okay. So in regards to her story, I know I mentioned this ages ago, but remember when I said that Kimberly is Zachary's cousin? How to be if his reaction to his cousin's identity ended up with him passing out on the command center floor like it was for her when she first saw that the White Ranger was Tommy. That's actually kind of cool. I wouldn't mind. Have Kimberly come from the heavens in her costume and then take her helmet off to surprise Zachary and have Zachary pass out. Have it do just like that. Of all the special effects you've seen happen in movies, what's an effect you're most curious about? You know what? I'm glad you brought that. Of all the special effects you've seen happen in movies, what's an effect you're the most curious about? This is one that literally just popped into my head yesterday, Blossom. It's not a movie, but it is from Alien Earth. I was watching it and I'm thinking to myself, how did they do this? It is the scene when Wendy is standing by the bedside of one of the kids that's about to get her, transplanted into the memory of the synth or the synthesized body. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. And then she says, I'm going to snap my fingers. And she snaps her fingers and the camera pulls back. It shows the body of the droid and the kid. And then it goes off screen briefly. And then without cut, it doesn't like cut, but then it like goes over the body again, and it's like a different person, but you see the kid standing behind her now, or the synth standing beside her, and it does it for like all 5 characters, or 6 or 7 characters, right? Like it looks at the body, and then it zooms in, and then the character standing there, and it zooms out, and it changes the character, and then he comes back in, and there's another character. I don't know how they pull that off. I don't know if that's AI that they're utilizing also to do that, if it's a combination of just really cool sort of special effects. Is like, I don't know. I don't know how they pulled it off, but it looked interesting to the eye. Something felt really off about that scene from like just a visual standpoint. So I don't know how they did it, but it does make me question. It does make me question special effects wise how they pulled that off.
I think it was just the when they moved the camera like away from the shot for a brief moment. It was just the you cut there, and then you set up the next shot. You keep the camera where it's at, and then you move it back up to make it look like it's like a smooth shot.
I mean, I guess so. That's probably where the cut would come into, but it's just so smooth and so clean. It's just like, it felt like there was like some AI aspects to it too, but I could be completely wrong. But if I ever get the opportunity to interview anybody from the visual side of Alien Earth, that's definitely one of the questions that I need to know.
It's so like they explained how they did this special effect, but I still want to be on set while I still would have liked to have seen how they did it rather than just hearing it from Ryan Coogler. But the effect where you had the Smoke and Stack and Sinners passing the cigarette back and forth to each other while the camera was moving. It's such a small scene, but like to pull it off. Like, it took them hours to do, and I would have loved to have been there to see them making sure that the camera constantly tracked in the exact same motion in order to make sure that when they line up the shots that it like, it's lined up enough to where it's like that you can actually, copy and paste one of them in. Yeah, I just thought that was such a cool, like, scene that, even though technically I know how they did it, I would really rather see how they did it.
No, I feel you. I feel you there. Jessica Fryman, do you think James Gunn would consider making a Batgirl movie for his new DCEU? And when you think we get some news about the new Power Ranger reboot for Disney Plus, and who would you like to see play the new Planeteers in a new Captain Planet reboot series? So first, do you think James Gunn would consider making a Batgirl movie for his new new DCU? Yes, I do. I don't necessarily know if James Gunn himself would be the one to do it, but I think he's really open to the idea of, like, if the script is great, I'm open to anything. So I mean, he didn't have any intentions of ever making a Clayface movie, but Mike Flanagan really wowed him. So he may not necessarily have a plan on doing a Batgirl movie, but I think if you can wow him enough, yeah, I think he'll do it.
Yeah, I think it depends on if he gets pitched a good enough script.
When do you think we'll get news about Power Rangers reboot for Disney Plus? There's a part of me that wants to say maybe New York Comic-Con.
Ooh.
I only say New York Comic-Con because I believe production is supposed to begin for the Disney Plus show at the top of 2026, or at least first quarter, so maybe January, February, or March sometime in 2026. And I think the next big con that we have from around that time would be New York City Comic-Con. So a part of me thinks New York City Comic-Con we might get some information on, but I could be wrong. Any idea who we would want to play the new Planeteers in the new Captain Planet movie? I don't know. Maybe first of all, make Dacre Montgomery. I'll take Dacre Montgomery as Captain Planet. I think I might have said that last time. But as far as like the Planeteers themselves,
yeah, I don't know, because like I think that because you'd be casting young for them, I kind of want them to go with unknowns. So I don't know. I don't really think I could fan cast for the Planeteers. For Captain Planet, though, yeah, I think it'd be kind of funny to have an actor like Glenn Powell or Ryan Coogler as Captain Planet.
Ryan Coogler? Or you mean Jordan Michael B. Jordan?
Ryan
Gosling?
Gosling, yeah. Sorry, wow.
Oh.
Sorry, we were just talking about Cinder, so Coogler came to my mind. Sorry, I meant to say Ryan Gosling. So have someone like Ryan Gosling or Glenn Powell or someone like that in the role. I think it would be pretty funny.
Digivolve. What's up, Digivolve? Appreciate you coming through. Jaleel White, best known for his role as Steve Urkel in the sitcom Family Matters, had a complicated relationship with the character early in his career, as seen in his cameo in the 2002 movie Big Fat Liar, where he expressed frustration with being typecast. However, over time, White has come to embrace his iconic role, reprising it in the 2019 animated series Scooby-Doo Guess Who, and participated in the 2017 reunion with his Family Matters castmates. He has since frequently spoken about how the character Urkel was a cornerstone of his career and an inspiration to many. Given White's journey from resenting the role to embracing it, do you think it's possible for actors to completely escape a typecast role and be known for something else? I don't think so. Unless it's like later in their lives, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's just later in their lives, because I look at Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill his whole entire life has been typecast as two things: Luke Skywalker and the Joker. Right? I mean, the man is in everything Luke Skywalker related, Joker related. That's what people refer to him, like, remember him as, or the trickster from The Flash. But I did see Mark Hamill. So I just saw Mark Hamill this year in The Life of Chuck. He was great in it. great in it. And he's also going to be in the Stephen King movie The Long Walk, which looks great. And I didn't know it was Mark Hamill in the role for The Long Walk until I saw like the trailer for like the third time. I'm like, is that Mark Hamill? But he looks like he's going to do great in that role. Mark Hamill's one of those examples. I think one of those examples of people that did get typecast. That when he is in another role that's not the typecast role, he kills it, but we never really talk about it because we always refer to him as other things. But like as an actor, he's really freaking good, man. He's really good. But yeah, no, I think once you're typecast as something, I just think it's really hard to get out of that, Stu.
I think you can, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge because once you do such a good job in one thing, everyone wants to see you play that thing again over and over.
Yeah, I think you just gotta get. I just think you gotta get to the like an older stage in your career, like whether you become like just an older actor where people either don't associate that with you anymore, or you're just at the point where you're taking completely different roles and embodying completely different people that separate you from that. I just think those are hard to really come by.
Yeah.
But it may be possible, but I just think later in your career. My friends call me Joseph. What do you think of this exciting news? Actor and comedian Marlon Wayans announced on social media that Scary Movie 6 is officially in production, bringing back the horror spoof franchise. He also confirmed the original co-stars Anna Faris and Regina Hall are set to return. The new installment is expected to hit theaters June 12, 2026, promising another round of laughs, gags, and sharp-witted parodies. While I say a lot of the times in James Gunn I trust, in the Marlon Wayans and in the Wayans I trust. Because I feel like they probably had a good sense of what the Scary Movie franchise was and a good sense of humor until they left. And I think like after they left, that's when that franchise really kind of went under. But I think I think the Wayans have really brilliant comedy minds. And if it's written and produced by them directly, I think it'll be a fun one. I'm actually expecting this Scary Movie remake to be a solid remake, like the Naked Gun was, in regards to its success and how receptive people have been to it, just because of the Wayans personally. But yeah, that's what I think.
I just realized how long it's been since the last Scary Movie came out. When Scary Movie 5 came out, I had just gotten my first job.
Oh my God, Stuart!
Because I had just started working at the Cinemark Theater when Scary Movie 5 came in or came out.
You're aging us, bro. You're aging us. Marky, what's up, Marky? Despite The Amazing Spider-Man 2 initially not being well-received film due to overabundance of villains, the cutscenes featuring Shailene Woodley as Mary Jane Watson remain a point of fascination. What? There was cutscenes? What?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of deleted scenes from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
While No Way Home redeemed Andrew Garfield's arc and elevated the duology for many viewers, sparking a strong desire for him to return for a third film, the original cinematic plan remains a compelling what if. With Tom Holland now getting his fourth film in the MCU, it highlights the unfulfilled potential of Garfield's own trilogy, which could have thoughtfully introduced Mary Jane. Would a more complete arc for Garfield's Spider-Man have included her as a key part of his journey, given his story, the satisfying conclusion fans now crave after seeing Garfield beautifully redeemed in Spider-Man No Way Home? I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks, okay, one of the aspects of the Amazing Spider-Man franchise that I loved was the Gwen and Peter Parker story. I thought Andrew and Emma just had really great chemistry for the Gwen, Stacy, and Peter Parker storyline that I had been waiting for such a long time. And so there is a part of me that thinks to myself, with the death of Gwen in Amazing Spider-Man 2, do you then go ahead and introduce Mary Jane for a Spider-Man 3? And then if so, how do you execute that? And I only say that because I got to assume he's going through a ton of grief and the loss of Gwen Stacy, right? Like there was just such a bond and a love and a chemistry between those two, that the idea of him then falling in love with somebody like Mary Jane immediately after that in the next movie feels like a little bit of a stretch that I don't necessarily know if I would believe. Like, could the Amazing Spider-Man 3 have ended with somebody knocking at Peter's door and he opens it and it's MJ that says, "You've just hit the jackpot, Tiger"? Like, would that work? Or is that like, bro, my man is still grieving for, like, bro, like, Mary, like, calm down, MJ, like, relax. My man is still going through a grieving process. Like, I wonder how that would have necessarily come across. So I don't know if Mary Jane at the end would have been introducing her would have been a more complete arc for Spider-Man. I mean, maybe have part 3 be him dealing with his grief, and then it ends with him maybe being introduced to MJ for the first time, but not like them already being flirtatious and relationship connections kind of brewing there, underlining attraction sort of thing. I think that might hit me differently. But what do you think, Stu?
Um, Yeah, I think that I think there's a way you could have done it. Like you would probably have wanted to do like a time gap, time jump or something. But yeah, it definitely would have felt weird to have like Peter Parker immediately go from one to another, like after his previous girlfriend had just died. But I think there's a way they could have done it. It just would have, taken the skillful writing that I don't feel like Sony had with them at the time.
No,
So yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of cool with the Amazing Spider-Man franchise ending the way it did.
yeah, I kind of am too. I mean, even though if there is anybody outside of Tom Holland, I wouldn't mind seeing another movie from, it would be Andrew's Spider-Man, but I don't think we need one.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to Doomsday. I do want to take care of AJ, the morphing grid first. Jason Dever Frank's retirement and legacy. Tommy Oliver, the character portrayed by JDF, officially retired from the Power Rangers franchise with his final on-screen appearance, Dimensions in Danger. The episode was significant tribute to his character's legacy, showcasing his master morpher, which allowed him to access 4 of his past Ranger forms. Dimension in Danger also provided an update on Tommy's life, confirming he was still living in Reefside, the location from Dino Thunder, with his wife Catherine Hillard and their son JJ, and even references return to martial arts. The episode, which included the return of 9 other veteran Rangers, served as celebratory send-off for a character who had been a franchise pillar for decades. The 2004 Dino Thunder episode, Fighting Spirit, in which Tommy falls into a coma and must battle his past Ranger forms to survive, unfortunately now holds a poignant and tragic parallel to JDF's real life passing. Following JDF's tragic passing in 2003, the tributes to his characters continued. Hasbro released a limited edition Master Morpher toy with pre-recorded voice lines by Frank. The character of Tommy also briefly featured in the 30th anniversary MMPR Once and Always as a tribute, alongside special main storyline honoring the late Tui Trang. His brief appearance ensured that Tommy Oliver remained alive in Power Rangers universe despite Frank's untimely passing. His continued influence was further implied in the 30th anniversary season of Cosmic Fury, when Billy Cranston made the indirect reference to him. Given the enduring love for both Jason David Frank and the character Tommy Oliver, did you ever think that we would ever lose such a fan favorite icon in the franchise, while though Tommy himself remained alive and well? Did you ever think we would ever lose such a fan favorite icon in the franchise while Tommy himself remained alive and well? I mean, um did I ever think that we would lose such a fan favorite icon? Probably this part of me wants to say no, because I didn't expect JDF to ever pass this early in his life, but there's a part of me that also wants to say yes. Just because at the same time it's like um at some point in time we all pass, and yet these characters that we've created continue to live on well past our time here. So it shouldn't come as a surprise in that regards, but it still does, I think, because of the impact he had and how young he still was in his life and had so much more to kind of accomplish. So yes and no to both of these because, you know, yeah, I mean, people pass away all the time, and yet their characters, you know, stay around well beyond their time here. But just in general, but for JDF, it just hit a little bit harder just because of how it happened and how young he certainly still was. I think you're muted if you were saying anything, Stuart.
Yeah, just yeah, I kind of agree. Like I definitely wouldn't say I expected it, but at the same time, yeah, it is, unfortunately a part of life that, we
Yeah,
lose people earlier than, than we should.
yeah, for sure. Doomsday, do you think Rocky could have been a recurring character in Turbo instead of just being in the first two episodes briefly and not seen again until Super Ninja Steel?
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think they could have found a way to keep him in the show if he was interested, if the actor was interested.
If Power Rangers has never given one of the Rangers an alter ego outside of their Ranger form, which Ranger do you think could have had an alter ego? Hopefully, the wording of this question made sense to you. If Power Rangers has never given one of the Rangers an alter ego outside of their Rangers form, which Ranger do you think could have had an alter ego?
I'm confused by this one.
Yeah, I am a little bit confused by that one, Doomsday. Maybe put that in next week's questions, but and wording it a little bit differently.
Yeah. Um, but this one's interesting. How
Like
would you
if
rank?
hold up, if Power Rangers had never given one of their Rangers an alter ego outside of their Rangers forms, which Ranger do you think could have had an alter ego? So, like, is there any Rangers that didn't have an alter ego outside of their costume? So, like, I would assume maybe he means like Robo Knight. Well, no, Robo Knight had didn't
Wait.
Robo Knight have no, yeah, no,
Well,
Robo
Robo
Knight didn't
Knight
have an
was
alter
just,
ego.
yeah, he was just Robo Knight outside of it.
Right.
Oh,
So like
okay.
I think that's what he means.
So
Like
like
characters
Shadow
that didn't have
Ranger
an
or
alter
Magna Defender.
right. Uh-huh. Like who which ranger do you think could have had an alter ego?
I think it would have been, even though I get that the flashback implicates that the Magna Defender wasn't exactly wearing armor. It's like it seemed like they were implying that his whole species looks like that. But I think the Magna Defender could have had like a out of suit like alter ego that would have been kind of fun, especially with him like being a fish out of water. I think that's something that they could have done to have a little more comedy in Lost Galaxies if they wanted.
I wouldn't have minded seeing like a Robo Knight for sure with an alter ego. I don't know what it his probably would have been really boring as hell though. I do like your Magna Defender one though. I do like
Yeah.
that one. I think that's the question you were asking, Doomsday. Correct us if we're wrong, though. How would you rank, and last question, how would you rank the Arrowverse shows from worst to best? Oh,
Oh,
God.
guy. So I would probably say I'm not, or should we include Superman and Lois in this?
Um,
Because
sure.
it's same production, but
Well,
not
I would say no just because I haven't watched it, but like I haven't watched it like that, but sure, why not?
okay. I'll count it. It's basically Superman and Lois would be my number one. Flash number two. Arrow. Between Arrow and Black Lightning, I don't know. I feel like they're pretty tied at number three. Maybe Arrow. Then again, because I want to give Arrow credit for coming first, but I also want to give Black Lightning credit for being more consistent. Um, I'm gonna go. Okay, yeah. So I'll do Black Lightning 3, Arrow 4, and then I'll do Supergirl number 5, Legends of Tomorrow number 6, and then in last place, Batwoman.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, give me your order again. I'm sorry.
So Superman, The Flash, Black Lightning, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and then Batwoman.
Okay. maybe we should put Stargirl in there.
Oh, Stargirl?
Would you consider Stargirl too? I only say that because they did have the Flash pop up in that show.
That's true. Okay. I'll put Stargirl between Superman and Black Lightning. So I'll put Stargirl at number 2.
Okay, so because I haven't necessarily seen Superman, I'm not going to include Superman in mine though, just because I haven't seen Superman enough. I probably would put. Damn. I probably would put Stargirl number 1. I probably would put Black Lightning 2. Give me Arrow 3. The Flash 4. Supergirl 5. Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman.
Cool.
That'd be mine. So that's best to worst.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Other than that, Doomsday, thank you so much for all your questions, man, and everybody that participated here this week. Man, you know what? Arrowverse. I need to talk about it. I saw it today. Somebody on Twitter mentioned something about the idea of like how I'm trying to see if I like this comment or not. How underappreciative they feel that the Arrowverse has been. Somebody on Twitter, Blaze Binges, a day ago said, with a clip from one of the crossover events, says, "I really regret not watching Arrowverse when it first aired." And then somebody named Jalen says, "Watching the Arrowverse weekly for 9 years is an experience that'll never be recreated."
Yeah, I started it with the Flash. So I wasn't there from the beginning with Arrow like some people were. I started it when the Flash came out. But yeah, when I caught up, when I finished catching up with everything, I was watching it consistently, like all the way, like every week I was watching every show as they were coming out. Yeah, that was a fun experience. I don't know if I could agree though that it's underappreciated, and here's why. Because that it was appreciated. I think it's just that not a lot of people remember it because, like with most shows, like almost any long running show, eventually people just stop caring. It happens with The Walking Dead. It happened, with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like all of them, they start out with these huge fan bases, and those fan bases are still there. The big ones, anyways. But like essentially, the people that were just checking it out for the trend, they tend to lose interest after a while. So I think that appreciation for the Arrowverse was there. I just think it faded at an unfortunate time because I think it faded right when they ramped up like what they were allowed to do in terms of crossovers. And I wouldn't fully blame it on, just people losing interest. I would also say it's because honestly, some of them were starting to get really bad, and it is a bit unfair to tell fans, hey, you just got to stick through this bad writing because eventually we're going to have a cool crossover, and it's going to make all that bad writing worth it. It's like, I think that's a bit like, for me, I was okay with it because I knew that, I think like with the Flash is probably my favorite example because I think after season 2, there isn't a single season of the Flash that's good all the way through, but it didn't mean every episode of any season was bad. Every season had some pretty good ups and downs. So I think that's what made watching the Flash interesting for me, is that I didn't know what I would get every time I went into it. If it would be a good episode or a bad episode, there was that mystery aspect to it when I would watch. But with that all being said, I can see why people fell off of it.
I mean, I can see why people fell off of it also, but I also do think it's a moment in time that we're never going to get back anymore. And I think when I say underappreciated, I think like in hindsight, the further that we get, I don't know, I feel like the further we get away from the Arrowverse, the more crap that I've seen talked about it now, in the sense of, when people refer to the Arrowverse, they usually refer to it because of it being cheap, or lower budget, which is accurate to a certain extent. But like for a brief period of time, like that's all we were getting, like the Arrowverse was doing DC better than the DCEU certainly was at the time. The idea of coming back week to week to week for like the 6 or 7 series that we just sort of like announced, you're legit never gonna find TV like that ever again. Like at least from a syndicated sort of point of view, or even from a streaming point of view, most streaming services, you're gonna get you're gonna get either all the episodes dropped at once, or you're gonna get them week to week for like 10 weeks, and then you won't get another show for like another year, another 2 years, another 3 years, maybe, in regards to like another season. So like the consistency, I think, from Arrowverse, the expansion of the amount of characters that they were able to provide for us. And while, yes, not every season hit, the fact that we had all these connective tissues and these pieces that kind of come together in these big crossover events and tell really compelling stories with these characters, I think is maybe undervalued, maybe not underappreciated, maybe undervalued in regards to like what the Arrowverse really did for superheroes and television, especially for the DCU side. That I think, even like when I read this comment, when somebody says, "Man, I really wish." I really regret not watching Arrowverse when it aired. Like, you probably should have. Like, watching it when it aired was just something different compared to like how we look at it now, sort of in hindsight. And I don't know if we really appreciate the type of stories and what they were able to do from a television perspective of introducing us to all these characters and stories and giving us some pretty compelling stuff that movies just were not giving us at the time.
Yeah.
So, I legit hate when people talk bad about Arrowverse. Like I just do, because I just think it's something that, one, is not going to be replicated or duplicated. It's what the MCU did for cinematic history that I think the DCU did for television history, if that makes sense. I think they're really very much on par with each other. And I just don't think we're going to get storytelling on that level anymore.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So I don't mind when people talk smack about the Arrowverse, like in general, if it's someone that's watched it for a while and just, will like make jokes about it, fine. What I hate are people who talk shit about the Arrowverse and have never seen any of it. They only know about it from the base surface. And I'm the same way with like a lot of things, like, Dragon Ball and Star Trek. I'm also the same way for, where I love making fun of Dragon Ball and Star Trek. I love making fun of the Arrowverse. But I just get so defensive when someone who doesn't know anything about it starts talking shit about it. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm kidding. I'm not that extreme about it, but like I do get like annoyed. It hurts. Like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's so funny. Yeah. Marcelino says many people are saying that James Gunn is fixing the mistakes that the Arrowverse made, such giving us a better and more comic accurate Supergirl and Mr. Terrific. Another is that the Justice Gang wearing leather is a way of poking fun at the Arrowverse for relying on leather suits too much.
I think that was just poking fun at like I think the Justice Gang were just poking fun at like all like different superhero groups in general. Like I felt like it was kind of poking fun at both the Arrowverse, and I kind of got a little bit of Marvel jabs from that as well. Not like
early X-Men stuff.
Yeah, like and it didn't come off as like mean-spirited or anything. It kind of came off as playful jabs,
And James Gunn is also getting praise for not having his DC characters to focus on drama, specifically the romance drama, too much. Yeah, but movies and television are different, right? Yeah. Like movies, TV's relies on that heavy whenever people make fun of Arrowverse, they bring up random clips of the Flash with lightsabers just to make fun of. Yeah, they usually do tend to pick like the worst of the worst kind of clips, if you will. Look, I don't know if James Gunn is fixing the mistakes of the Arrowverse. I mean, yeah, did the Arrowverse depict certain characters in certain ways? Yeah, sure. But I think if James Gunn is fixing the mistakes of anything, it's actually the movie side of things. I don't know if the Arrowverse needed so much fixing per se. I mean, maybe in certain areas, yeah, it would have been nice to have seen different iterations and more comic accurate for certain characters. Yeah, absolutely. But I find movies and TV to be so separate that I don't know if James Gunn is fixing the mistakes of the Arrowverse or just fixing the mistakes of past Warner Brothers management to actually do a cinematic world properly.
Yeah.
I don't know if James Gunn ever thought to himself anything about Arrowverse, like I'm gonna do this because the Arrowverse didn't do it. No, I just think he's just trying to be as accurate as he possibly can to make for a better comic book cinematic universe for sure.
Yeah. I am very curious though, like, because he's mentioned the Arrowverse a couple of times. Specifically,
James Gunn?
mentioned, James Gunn. He specifically mentioned Grant Gustin a couple of times, like they've had a meeting
Oh,
together at one point. So I would be curious if we would see some of the Arrowverse actors coming back, playing like likely different roles. But honestly, I mean, like, we got some people from the DCEU coming back and reprising their roles in the DCU. So I feel like if we're going to make this like a full fleshed out universe, we could use some actors coming back to reprise their roles from the Arrowverse, just playing a different version of it. It's like, I don't know if we'd get the Grant Gustin back as the Flash, but if we did,
I mean, what if he's in Peacemaker season 2?
Oh my gosh, if that's how they introduced the Flash and they introduce him as Grant Gustin, dude, I will be.
Well, I mean more like a pocket universe, like a pop-up, like he pops up out of the doorway randomly one day, or like. And I only say that because just based off of what Grant did with the previous DCEU with the Ezra Miller stuff when they were both on screen together, he feels like he's like the only person that you could get away with the idea of him being implanted in other DC properties.
He's the only actor who's had a physical interaction with the cinematic universe, cinematic side of DC. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, prediction: Grant Gustin will show up as the Flash in Peacemaker season 2 briefly.
Oh my gosh. I hope you're right.
I would love to see it. But yeah, guys, let's know your thoughts. Thank you for talking a little bit about the Arrowverse with me. It's been on my mind since I read that comment yesterday, and the fact that Doomsday had a question about the Arrowverse was just perfect timing to talk about it.
A perfect excuse.
Yeah, perfect excuse to talk about the Arrowverse and my love for it. But all right, guys, that will do it for us here today at APlus Hero Report. Thank you guys so much for certainly joining us once again. If you hadn't hit the like button yet, please do so. If you're watching us live as of this point in time, before you leave this room, please hit that like button. It really does go certainly a long way. As far as content coming your guys' way, me and Stuart did drop a video last week, Superman versus Batman, who won the summer. Certainly check out our thoughts and perspective on that. I'm going to try and start going back to the movies this week, so look forward to maybe some movie reviews for you guys. New comic book day rollout on Wednesday or Thursday for you guys. Check that out. Alien Earth review. I'm hopefully going to try and, if not post it today, then definitely Monday. I want to post it before the new episode on Tuesday. And then we got Peacemaker coming up, Stuart. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about Peacemaker and see if that's something we want to try and do reviews for on the channel on a weekly basis or not. But I'll get with you after today's show.
Sounds good.
But other than that, guys, look, if you guys have any suggestions for us and other content that you guys would like to see from us, certainly go ahead and let us know. I've been trying to do a little bit more on YouTube Shorts. I really need to get my laptop fixed to really get back into my office streaming in a better quality manner for you guys. There's a part of me that's been wanting to kind of do my watch-alongs again. Maybe more reaction videos to certain things, whether that be clips, monologues, dialogues from movies or comic book movies. Any suggestions from you guys, certainly let us know. But Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter and or not Twitter, sorry, over on Instagram and Letterboxd and TikTok.
And if you want to follow us on social media, right here at APlus Opinions, everywhere on social media. Most importantly, over on our Facebook page, that's where we drop all the news throughout the week, posters, trailers, behind the scenes. We keep you informed all week long. And then at the end of the week, we go ahead and take 6 topics from our Facebook page and discuss them with you here. You can also check us very active over on Twitter and Instagram as well. And then we also have a TikTok page right over there at Hero Report. We got over 3,000 followers. We post a ton of behind the scenes stuff, trailers, and then little bitefuls of discussion topics or news from myself over on the TikTok page. But that will do it for us here. We'll certainly be back live next Sunday for you guys. So in the meantime, do us a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.